you. Yemen, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, Iraq. I don't care if I ever come back. I don't care if I ever come back. From poor families, how far we roam. From poor families, how far we roam. So the rich kids can just stay at home. So the rich kids can just stay at home. When I come home with PTSD, when I come home with PTSD, the VA hospital won't care for me. The VA hospital won't care for me. I'll probably end up homeless out in the dark. I'll probably end up homeless out in the dark. To get played on screen by Market Mark. Pakistan, Yemen, Iraq. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, Iraq. I don't care if I ever come back. I don't care if I ever come back. From poor families, how far we roam. From poor families, how far we roam. So the rich kids can just stay at home. So the rich kids can just stay at home. When I come home with PTSD, when I come home with PTSD, the VA hospital won't care for me. The VA hospital won't care for me. I'll probably end up homeless out in the dark. I'll probably end up homeless out in the dark. To get played on screen by Market Mark. And Yemen, Iraq.
My clicker.
Yemen, Iraq.
There we go. How you doing? You're on mute. I cannot hear you. Hello, everyone at home. I thought that was funny. That was Key and Michael Peel. Because they're trying to get us to put boots on the ground, but we don't want it. We don't want it. You're still on mute. He said 1 second. He'll be here. Hi, Jacqueline. How you doing? Nina, hello. Some other people in here, but they're being shy right now, and that's okay. That is quite all right. So I just thought that was super funny. I have a few funny things to break monotony. So while he is fixing what he is doing, I should play some. So here's one. Everybody's like, we don't take shit seriously. We don't take shit seriously. So people are making mad jokes about what's going on. Because, hey, to be joyful is an act of revolution. We discussed this. So that's what's happening. We're going to be joyful and try to laugh a little bit. So here we go. Come laugh with me.
Hey, Irene. I ain't trying to bother y'all and then I ain't got no problem with y'all, but could you tell me something, bro? Like what time? Give me an estimation of like when y'all gonna retaliate. Like when y'all gonna try to get y'all lead back. I'm just trying to figure out whether I'm gonna pay this rent on the first or not. I'm just trying to figure out because I'm out here cutting grass right now and I'm hot as hell and I just really finna cut the lawnmower down if y'all talking about getting your lick back before the first. Because the only reason I'm cutting this grass is to make sure I pay the rent on time. But if y'all gonna lick back before the first, bro, just don't let me know now so I can know how to do it. That's about all I want right now. That's it.
Look, I feel them. It's hot outside. It is hot outside. Let me know. Because I can go back in the house and just enjoy the last little time I got before y'all, start acting a fool up in here. So, yes, comedy is the best remedy. Nina, it sure is. So I'm gonna keep the comedy going because why not? I'll wait for Nahilo because I got some good stuff. Now this one, you know what? If I had to watch it, you had to watch it. Okay, it's painful to watch. So we're gonna get this one out the way. But it is funny too. It's painful, but it's funny. So this is this is those in favor of Israel. This is their this is what they're doing. They're making music. Everybody's making music. I'm gonna show you some other music too, but let's get this one out the way first. Because boy, is this something else. I gotta restart it. You know how Facebook does. I gotta do my little thing here. Come on, come on. Okay, before I show you that one, hold on. I gotta it was some jokes in the chat. I gotta get from the last one. Nobody pays rent until this situation is taken care of. When a landlord asks, say it's a consequence of the act of war. That's right. I ain't got it. That's hilarious. Okay, so here we go with the Trump supporters saying that we need to bomb Iran in song. So here we go. Oh, let me hide this first. There we go.
Did you all record that after you scurried like rats out of your shelters? Why?
I'm not trying to call people rats, but it's a good question because they are scurrying. They are running, honey. They are running, and the welcome they are getting from these different places. I have some videos that I could show you. I keep messing up this layout. Michael's back. Guess who's back? I have another one that is talking about bombing. I don't know if y'all have seen this one. It is like an AI generated song, and it's kind of funny. Let me see if I can find it. So while I'm looking for it, I'll play this for you super quick. Super quick and also super funny. Did I say hi to Lance? I don't think I did. So hi, Lance. How you doing? Okay, it's on iCloud. So maybe let me see if I can find a video because they made a video for it as well. Ha, found the video. All right, here we go. Okay, disclaimer. The song contains themes related to war and conflict. Yes, that's what we're in. War and conflict. We get it. He had to leave us again. Look at him. Look at him scurry. Let me see what he says. He left me a private message. Oh, he has to restart his computer. Okay, so we're just going to play around for a little bit until he's going to miss out on all the fun. And then we'll start the serious stuff to discuss. But Here's their. I should have this one already pulled up for you. I forgot about that bomb Iran one. So I should have had this one on the ready, but I have it now. So let's pull it up. Come on, clicky. I have so much stuff pulled up because I have so much stuff to talk about that my computer's running a little low, but it's all worth a discussion because we're taking things from a different angle today. Something that people aren't really thinking about. So hopefully you appreciate the content we have today. All right, here we go. Come on. There we go. All right, another bombing song. This one's called Bomb Tel Aviv. It's made from AI, but he wrote the lyrics himself. Oh, they actually had a video. I'm sorry. You were mocking the kids, but now you're getting hit. Iranian missiles have your entire skyline lit, and you cry victim and say you didn't start this, but the whole world sees that your lies are retarded. Now you feel terror like the Palestinians. How does it feel to have bombs dropped on your civilians? Yo, you could have avoided all this if you wanted to, but humanity never expected good behavior from you Jews. Boom, 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 Tel Aviv, this is what you get for all your evil deeds. Boom, 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 Tel Aviv, you brought this upon yourself. It's your time to bleed. This is what you get for your evil deeds. Boom, 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 Tel Aviv, you brought this upon yourself. It's your time to bleed. I mean, this is way more catchy. This is way more catchy, and I apologize because it actually has a video, but I pulled up the wrong one. So my bad on that. My bad on that. So some more funny. Let's go with some more funny. I found this Palestinian rapper, which was pretty cool. And I have 2 of his videos that I want to share with you guys. So let's see if I could pull this up for you. This isn't the rapper though. And I found a Palestinian comedian because I wanted to kind of like keep it light and do this in the middle of stuff. But since he's having difficulty, let's just do it now. Because he has has no idea what I'm about to present. So, but look at this. This is funny. Israel and Iran are having a fight. America jumps in and grabs Israel's hand and he just bitch slaps him. Oh, I could just, I watched this a completely unhealthy amount of times. Oh gosh. All right. So that's that one. So now let's get to the comedy. How about the comedy? And then after the comedy, we'll get to the music, which is also comedy, but with a nice beat. So, and yes, Lance, I understood what you meant. It's okay. All right. And everybody can hear me fine, right? To bring this closer to me. Yes, my guilty pleasure is watching videos of Karens or just watching videos of any fuck around and find out moment. They are so satisfying. I don't know if you guys have ever watched those. I think they're called satisfying videos on YouTube. They're supposed to be soothing. It's a very nice visuals with comforting music, and you just kind of have it on your TV as you're doing stuff around the house or what have you, or like if you're working or something like that, and you just need a break from what you're looking at, and you could look at the TV and see all these things that are being made or what have you. Colors, they're very satisfying, but not as satisfying as watching a Karen get what she deserves, or a Ken. All right, so here we go. Sammy, I think it's Obed. Let's see. Here we go. I got to start it over. Every Facebook entry I have to refresh. I hate that I don't see where you can pull it back, unfortunately. And again, it's going to take a minute. One day this will be yours, War Machine. Stand up. World War III, Israel. Okay.
Turns out Netanyahu was right this whole time. He was like, Iran's going to bomb us. And look at what's happening. He's like, Iran's going to bomb us. And we're like, what are you talking about? He's like, Iran's going to bomb us. We're like, no, come on. He's like, Iran's going to bomb us. And then all he had to do was bomb them first. Preemptive self-defense. People are saying, like, wait a second. If Iran was going to bomb you, why would you bomb them first? That's not self-defense. That's an attack. Yes, if time moves forward. That's the paradigm that you're operating in. Israel attacked Iran last Thursday. They called it Operation Rising Lion. I think a better name would be Operation Aggressive Pussy. But Operation Rising Lion, that's what Scar called it when he killed Mufasa in The Lion King. You're like, no, Sammy, he pushed Mufasa off a cliff. That was Falling Lion. Okay, if time was in reverse. Okay. Of course, Israel kindly offered us an invitation to join in the war against Iran. But of course, the United States declined because we're too busy orchestrating the whole war in the first place. Yeah, if you want proof, this is a real thing. I saw it on the internet. The night Israel attacked Iran, there was a spike in pizza sales right next to the Pentagon. And apparently there's an app that tracks that, and they've measured that happens every time some giant military operation happens that the United States claims not to be involved with. But apparently the Pentagon staff is pulling all-nighters, ordering from every pizza spot imaginable. Which kind of makes sense, right? Because the U.S. government just wants a pizza of the Middle East. You know what I mean? Good. You guys ready for nuclear summer? Turns out,
What you guys think about that one? I thought he was
Can you
pretty
hear
good
me?
as comedian. Yeah,
Oh,
we
can
can
you
hear
hear me?
you now.
All right, cool. Is it quiet?
I was in here stalling until you got back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If
No,
my
you're
voice,
fine. You're fine. I still have some more jokes, so we can do those like in between stuff to break the monotony. I had a bunch of little jokes to show, and I just kind of did a lot of them all at once. Um,
well, I appreciate you stalling, filibustering, all that. Sorry about that, everybody. Still not really sure what happened. Seems like my device thought that my microphone was being used by another program that I'm pretty sure I closed, so it's probably a background process that's still open, and I'll just hopefully it doesn't happen again. So let's try not to get too thrown off and get back to the content. So,
yeah, so I'm just showing um, the solidarity for Palestine. So this is Israelis getting off the boat to Cyprus, fleeing to Cyprus, and they're being met with um, Free Palestine protesters. I thought that was interesting. And then here's another one. So they're getting off, they're landing in Greece off the in the airport, and they have been met with a barrage of protesters, Free Palestine protesters. So I was just very happy to see that. Oh, wait. You guys can't see any of this, huh? Hold on, let me see. You saw the Cyprus one though, right?
yeah, you just had the Cypress one up. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but it's coming. It's coming.
It's a little bit of a mixed reaction where the public seems to be rightly outraged, but from what I heard about Cyprus, maybe the government was offering them like property or something. They were buying up all the whole bunch of. I gotta get the story straight. I'm kind of just talking about a rumor and some gossip right now, but I was hearing people in Cyprus are upset that Israelis are kind of occupying Cyprus now. So
I bet. They go there for vacationing because it's so close. It's an island so close. But to, I mean, they're there by the tens of thousands in Cyprus.
right.
It's a small island, so
Well, it just seems it's maybe
we'll have to check on that in a little while.
I was thinking a little of something insulting towards Cypriots. So if you're an innocent Cypriot, my apologies. But I thought that the Greeks and the Turks and the Israelis maybe kind of deserve an island together, right, like that. So sorry to insult all three groups, right? But get your shit together, maybe. Stop being on the wrong side of history, I guess. So,
Cypriots don't even like each other, let alone some invaders, right, Lance? I don't know the details of that.
well,
Just,
if you
hi,
know that
Rondo. Peace.
Greece and Turkey have had a big beef for centuries, for a long time, and they kind of took that beef on down to Cyprus to fight over who gets to have that island, and they still haven't exactly properly resolved that. So half the island is Greek and half the island is Turkish. They also have like a British air base there. So it's just like a little imperialist, like kind of like Israel. It's like an aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean. So.
I wanted to just give, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but I just wanted to give some, I think I just deleted something. I wanted to give some news about something happened domestically. So the big, beautiful, I don't even want to call it that, big dumbass bill passed the House today. So It's going to be on its way to the Senate. There was a protest in the Capitol. So I just want to show some footage of that. So there are different disabled people at the Capitol protesting Medicaid cuts, and they are getting hog-tied and taken out of that Capitol for peacefully protesting. So that's where we are, folks.
Yep. Got these people who want to say, "Oh, it's not fascism." I don't know why you guys gotta throw out the word fascism and ruin its meaning by overusing it. Like, well, these are the hallmark telltale signs of fascism, and they're all over the place. So I don't feel like we're using the wrong word there. But people can have their difference of opinion.
I feel like one day we should go over this big, beautiful bill, like go through some details about it. It's just so much happening, and we are only here on Thursday, and it's like, ah.
Well, that's part of the problem about the focus on the foreign policy. There's kind of those of us who want to be effective about making some substantial change on foreign policy. We might get a little bit tunnel vision, and that's what they're trying to do, is to get us to miss our opportunities to fight back on some domestic issues because they are caricaturing. That's not the right word.
Stowing chaos.
No, they're creating tailoring our feeds to kind of keep us obsessed about the issues that we care about and not hear about the things that we would care about if we weren't a little preoccupied. So,
So to answer your question, Jacqueline, I did hear about the Egypt letting Israelis into the country. I think there is a fee, so there is like $5,000 or something, but they would not let Palestinians into the country. So there's a lot to be said and unpacked there, and it kind of pisses me off. You already know my stance on the people who are in Egypt today, claiming that they are the people that are indigenous to Egypt. So colonizers gonna colonize.
Never get around to talking about that kind of stuff, do we? But maybe one day soon. As far as Jacqueline's comment here, I did actually take the time to watch this video you shared in Discord earlier today. Found it was a good thing to be hearing at this time, like kind of good. Sorry, I'm having some brain farts today. It was timely and relevant, but I also found that the source, it might be a little bit too much of. I mean, he calls himself a socialist, but he's a member of a Green Party in the UK. So I kind of consider the socialists to be more social democrats than socialists. And I find it a little bit suspicious as far as what's been, like, to be targeting Egypt right now. You have to be really do your homework and be very aware about which side that they're actually on. That's partly what I was trying to do with, I was researching Qatar a lot this week and trying to understand the Muslim Brotherhood and what happened to that over these past few years. So there's a lot of context that we kind of need to be able to understand whether what a nation like Egypt is doing right now is a good or a bad thing. I was thinking counterintuitively, maybe what we've been wanting is the Zionists to leave Israel. So now that they've left en masse, the Egyptians have given them an opportunity. Maybe they benefit economically from letting them spend their money in Egypt, right? And if they want to leave Egypt and go all the way to the west, then what they've done is exactly what we want is create an opportunity for the Zionists to leave and the Palestinians to stay. Of course, though, it is a little bit harsh and coercive the way that it seems like they could have allowed some Palestinians to leave if they wanted to, but they're kind of deciding, like everyone's deciding for the Palestinians on their behalf what they should or should not do. And the individual Palestinians maybe aren't getting the freedom to make their individual choice, but the Israelis are, and that's a clear double standard that's unacceptable. It's just whatever, it is what it is, people would say.
So shall we jump into it? Because we're it's like 40 minutes in and we haven't really covered any anything yet. And
Yeah.
remember, I said I wanted to delve into Shahid Bosan's video. I'm only going to show like 5 minutes of it, and then we can kind of go down the little rabbit hole thing, I think.
Well, it's good. It's time to be talking about his theories again in light of all this fallout with Iran, what everyone was expecting and what they got. So,
Oh, hi, Desert Mantis. I saw him earlier and I was like, hey, miss you.
yeah, been a while.
It's been a while. All right, so Desert Mantis, you're right on time. We've been joking around. Michael had some technical difficulties, so we were playing funny little skits and things like that, waiting for him to come on because I wanted him to be able to hear this himself so he could react to it. So I might like pause it twice, but it's only 5 minutes of this that I'm actually going to play, and then we'll get into the other stuff. So let's see. Some people are Heed Bosan's a fan, and some people are like a little iffy about it, but I think it's worth hearing.
Some people go so far as to say that he is like an asset. They've got enough evidence to be considering him completely untrustworthy to listen to. But
yeah, I haven't done any research to confirm or deny, so I'll just put it that way. None at all. Okay, so here we go.
Okay. Yeah, in fact, that's a good way to start it because there's a misunderstanding.
Okay, so this is called Iran, Israel, and the Theater of War. So I guess I should have started with that. We always talk about political theater, right? Domestically between the Democrats and the Republicans. So when I saw this title, I was very curious to see what the political theater could look like possibly on a foreign policy level. And I'm not opposed to believing that of course there's probably political theater, but I just wanted to see what his take was. So there we go.
Okay, so shall we talk about the theater that's going on in Iran?
Okay. Yeah, in fact, that's a good way to start it because there's a misunderstanding. And Evan, for anyone who hasn't looked at his tweets, Evan writes on X. I've mentioned him a number of times and interacted with him. And I've said that his analysis is very, very, it mirrors my own about what's going on in the region. And I think everyone should look at his account on X and read his tweets because he also has the patience to explain things that I maybe regard as obvious and don't explain. Or if you read his tweets, you sort of see like a whole process of things that go on inside my head and then don't come out my mouth. And I just tell you sort of the end of that process. Whereas Evan tells you step by step and he explains to you in much greater detail.
Now, Evan, I tried to follow him. His account is like private. You can't see his account and you follow him and he has to approve of you. So
I hate that.
I don't know.
I guess that's the way to control that day. I was just going to say, I thought that was ironic or like synchronicity where we were just talking yesterday on Black Life about absorbing more than we share. And he's having the same thought right there.
Exactly. I didn't even think of it that way. Good. That's a good catch. Okay.
But he had a tweet where he was talking about the misunderstanding of what's meant when we say theater. That what's going on between Iran and Israel is theater. It doesn't mean that there's no conflict. That doesn't mean that there's no conflict. And when you say it's theater, people think, oh, so it's all for show, and they're actually friends with each other. What I've always said is that they have a symbiotic relationship. That doesn't mean that they're friends, but they have a function for each other. and together they have a function for the West in the region. And there is a function to the conflict. And the function of the conflict is not what most people think it is. That's what makes it theater, because it appears to be an existential clash between the Zionist regime and the so-called Islamic Republic of Iran, that wipe each other out, or that Iran is going to destroy the Zionists once and for all, or that the Zionists are going to destroy Iran once and for all. These are things that both of them have talked about for decades. And so the theater aspect of it is that they want it to appear to you this way when that's not really what's happening. And it's also important to note, though, that not necessarily everyone who's involved in this on their side knows that this isn't what's happening. They have their own ideologue. I don't personally think, this is where I have maybe a difference of opinion with Evan, for example. He thinks that Netanyahu is in on it. I don't think he is. I think Netanyahu is just straight up psycho ideologue with very few options left. And his predictable behavior is being manipulated. And I think to a certain extent, that's the same thing going on with Iran, except that Iran is much more aligned with the regional plan.
Yeah.
They became more aligned with the regional plan. They have an idea of what they need to do to change in order to be included in the regional plan and to actually save their regime.
To be in the friends, they want to be continually in the friends group. Like
Right.
you said, they've been included in October 2023.
Yeah.
You had mentioned how
Yeah.
Iran has now been included into the friends group. So they want to be towing the line.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they've done everything that was required of them. They've cut loose their militias. They cut loose Hezbollah. They cut loose Bashar al-Assad. They let, in my opinion, you can think what you want to think, but in my opinion, they let Ismail Haniyeh be assassinated. Potentially, they even let their former president be assassinated. Potentially, Allahu Alam. And in my opinion, they needed to do.
Okay, so do I need to just pause there and like go over who those two people are?
It's a good spot to pause. I know, pretty sure the Hania was a Palestinian leader of Hamas that was meeting in Iran to discuss, I think, ceasefire or something like this, and he was assassinated. And then Ibrahim Raisi was the president that they were saying they potentially let assassinate their own president. Was that the two you're saying?
Yes, and I wanted to. Okay, so then I'll go back and kind of like give a little more information on those two people. So I'll just let it roll until the end then.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Do a cleaning house in Iran to get rid of the most hardline, militant, ideologically strident elements.
Mm-hmm.
They need to show to BRICS, they need to show to the GCC, they need to show to the A National OCGFC that they can play ball in a region that is stable and peaceful. They can't, however, defang themselves without severe consequences within their country, domestically, from the domestic population and from the military. So, you have to, the only way that you can get rid of, for example, proxies is either to disown them, which has political, rhetorical, ideological, and popular consequences on you if you do it, after you've built them up as the...
Oops, sorry, I just paused it. Okay. So we had just kind of talked about this last week about BRICS and India and Iran. So
maybe it's a good time.
So him saying they need to show the BRICS that they're willing to play ball is an important piece to take out of what he's saying, as well as we kind of go through this stuff. So I'm gonna pull it back just a little bit.
Well, I was just going to say, it's a good time to stop and maybe question the validity of what he was just saying right there, because he's trying to say that the Iranian government has kind of made the premeditated choice to defang themselves in order to make a peaceful zone for trade with BRICS and everything, but they can't do that without betraying the promises they made to their population. They have to come up with a way to do it that is acceptable to them. I'm not sure if I kind of buy that just right now. It's hard to talk about the structure of the Iranian government, the way that it's made authoritarian and stuff, all the authorities vested in the supreme leader and whatnot, and then people are kind of acting like they don't want to be authoritarian. They want to just be, I'm not sure, you know what I mean? Like, you got to prove your case a bit, right? So.
Okay, I'm gonna, I mean, there are some leaders that are considered authoritarian, and their people are doing way better than we are. So I feel like the word authoritarian is thrown around too much.
Yeah.
When it's not necessarily authoritarianism, but I'm not saying Iran isn't. I'm just saying, or Iran.
People start to see those words get thrown around, and then they kind of have a hard time actually telling the difference between who is and who
seeing
is not.
The difference. Yes. Like everyone yells socialism, communism, but they don't even know what it means. But like, if I don't agree with you, you must be a socialist or a communist. If I'm on the right, and if you're on the left and I don't agree with you, you must be a fascist or authoritarianism, whatever the word is.
I'm just saying, like, the way that the bureaucracy is intended to function is one of the ways that we can use as a barometer for whether a state is authoritarian or not. Like, the way that Congress is supposed to approve a war, that's supposed to be an example of not being authoritarian, because it's a democratic principle that the people's elected representatives are the ones who decide to go to war, not just the executive unilaterally. In the case of Iran shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, I found it interesting that they had the parliament vote on they wasted all this time trying to make up a big show about, we're going to shut it down. We got the parliament, did the vote on it. They said, time to shut it down. But did the parliament's vote, was that the end of the decision to shut it down? No, they cannot, the parliament could not decide to do a move like that without the Ayatollah's final say. And so that's where, technically speaking, that's what I mean when I say authoritarian. He's not an elected official, but he is the leader for life in a sense. And he has the kind of supreme authority over every kind of decision that ultimately matters in the country, in the same kind of way that we understand Donald Trump's kind of wielding of his power in that way would be unacceptable for the American system. The Iranians have decided for their system, it is acceptable for their leader to have that kind of authority because they think it's safer for them. And it's hard to argue that that was the wrong choice for them. So I just say,
so because we have so much content, I turned on these comments right here for viewers, but I will pull some out every now and again. And I haven't been watching them, so I just see this one. Jacqueline says, we can't criticize other countries for being authoritarian when we're enacting our own draconian authoritarian laws. And I'm starting to, like, I just had a light bulb go off in my head, and I said, I feel like we are a regime. We are a regime cosplaying as a democracy when we are actually operating as a republic. And that's a mouthful. Like, how much mental gymnastics do you have to do to be all those things at once?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
I mean, with republicanism, I kind of think, as far as Canada's concerned, we have to get rid of our monarchy, and then we have to pick a form of government to replace it with. And republicanism kind of seems like a potentially good idea, except for the problem that it's been kind of tainted by republicanism. Like when I think of Republicans, I think of American Republicans. I can't really unthink that. So they kind of, to me, they ruin the whole idea of it. But then you think of the Irish Republicans, the IRA, like there's like a freedom fighter, right? So it doesn't have to mean what we've come to see it as, but it does, like, what the time that we've lived in, it does affect whether that form of government will be popular or acceptable or not. I also just think that there's a problem with being represented by somebody else, because a republic is when you are just like a democracy. You put your power into somebody who's going to represent you, but then how is it? I just find it contradictory to believe that you can have somebody represent a group of other people, right? Because it's like you represent yourself in politics. This is what happens with politicians. Every time they go to represent somebody else, they ultimately just end up representing themselves and their self-interest. But they have to do it in the name of other people's interests. And I just find that I'm too cynical to believe that that's a good way. Like, how are you going to trust that? Where's the checks and balances?
Excuse me. So Yanina, I don't necessarily agree with this, because there's no homelessness in China. Russia's doing fairly well in there. They've taken over. They've done everything they sought out to do with Ukraine. I'm not saying that their economies are doing fairly well as compared to ours. So I don't know if I agree with that. That they're in the mire with us. I think they're doing a little bit better overall. And yes, antediluvian. Yes, I know. Look, same with, like, you can't call someone an authoritarian or a dictator when they've been chosen by the people, right? Like, and they, for example, they're like, people are in the streets. They don't want the president of Iran. They don't want him there. And I'm just like, did you see the No Kings protests? Of course, some people aren't going to want him there, but he was elected, just like Trump was elected. I mean,
this is where I'd appreciate it if antediluvian has a little bit of information to correct me on. Like, I might not understand the ins and outs of their system well enough, but from what I understood, the supreme leader has like a council beneath him, and when it's time to be looking for candidates for the next leader, his handpicked advisors that are the ones who decide the next leader. And so it's more like an aristocracy deciding who the next leader is, as opposed to the people. But if I'm wrong, I appreciate it if you have information to clarify for me.
Yeah, you both of you guys can put it in the Discord, because I'm always down for learning perspectives from people, because I don't have all the answers. This is just my discernment from the information I do know. You know what I mean? And I can always eat crow if I need to. So Myra Page is here all the way from South Africa. Hello, Curly.
Thanks for joining
It's good
again.
to see you. So should we get back to the... It's only like a minute left, and then we can kind of explore the theater aspect of it. Okay.
Strident, rather, elements. They need to show to BRICS, they need to show to the GCC, they need to show to the A National OCGFC that they can play ball in a region that is stable and peaceful. They can't, however, defang themselves without severe consequences within their country, domestically, from the domestic population and from the military. So, you have to, the only way that you can get rid of, for example, proxies, is either to disown them, which has political, rhetorical, ideological, and popular consequences on you if you do it, after you've built them up as the great heroes, the resistance messiahs of the Middle East. You can't just disown them. So you have to have them eliminated through what they're there for, through combat. And that's what they did. That's what they have done. what's eventually gonna happen with the Houthis is remains to be seen, because now the Houthis are more beholden to two different masters. Their first master obviously was Iran. They've always had a degree of independence, autonomy, but they're also more closely aligned now with Saudi Arabia than they ever were before. Doesn't mean again that they're friends. It means that they have mutual interests. But so the proxies have been let go. The proxies have been decapitated, and now the military command in Iran is being decapitated. But what
Oh, I
I
went
think
too,
is happening
too
is
far.
what I've said, and again,
I went too far.
Okay.
So I kind of just wanted that part, and then we can kind of delve into it. So antediluvian, okay, the Ayatollah must come up with a plan. Isn't the Ayatollah kind of like the Pope in a way?
Kind of. It's hard to make these kind of comparisons because it might be wrong to try and.
Yeah, in a way, like.
Yeah. It just might not be able to be compared just so cleanly.
Right, apples to apples, but
yeah,
from a Westerner, if I had to compare them to someone with my Western knowledge, I would say kind of like a Pope for Islam.
I think so.
Correct me.
Yeah.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, antediluvian. So okay.
But yeah, she's saying each Ayatollah must come up with a plan and has a record of stances, and folks throw their support behind each one, and the winner gets to be supreme leader. So that does sound more democratic than I thought it was. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let me pull up some articles now.
Oh, I see KYE jumped in, and he says, Gray Zone just wrapped up. I told folks to come here. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Kyrier Gavors. Good to see you. I was in Gray Zone a little earlier. Okay.
If you had any new viewers lurking there, I hope you like what you see there.
So based on the clip, okay, I just want to make sure everybody knows who these people are that he's talking about, that Iran supposedly allowed to be killed. They kind of stood back and it happened, which is possible. The U.S. has done that many times. So I wouldn't pass Iran either in this theater, this foreign political theater. So Ismail Haniyeh, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was the Prime Minister of Palestine. Okay. I feel like I wanted to pull just some stuff out of here just to talk about him really quickly. So in 2006, he participated in the Palestinian legislative elections with Haniyeh heading the list. Did I say? I said he participated. Hamas participated. Sorry. The group won a majority of seats in the parliament, and Haniyeh, hopefully I'm not butchering his name, became prime minister. The international community reacted to Hamas's leadership by freezing aid to I don't know what the PA is.
Palestinian.
I was assuming like it was a Palestinian something.
I think it means Palestinian Authority.
Oh, Palestinian Authority. Duh. Like, why didn't that come to my mind? Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
We don't talk about it as much because they're not really like Hamas is the real power, and the PA is like Mahmoud Abbas is not really.
That's much
like
better.
a puppet, right? So I think the PA just doesn't have much relevance. We don't talk about it.
Okay. Where was I? Because I made it bigger and I lost my spot. Here we are. All right. So they froze aid to the Palestinian Authority, placing significant financial stress on the governing body. In 2007, after months of tension that included armed conflict between the factions, President Mahmoud Abbas of the Fatah Party dismissed Hania and dissolved his government. So just to give you an idea of, so there's like two different parties in Palestine, Hamas versus the Fatah. Okay, so the Hamas is Islamist, Fatah is secular. So the Hamas' strategy towards Israel is armed resistance, and the Fatah is negotiations. And the objectives of Hamas would be like to, they don't recognize Israel, but they accept a Palestinian state. The Fatah recognizes Israel and wants to build a state on
1967.
Thank you. Borders.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the difference. So the people wanted Hamas. They elected them. So this is the people's ideologies. Islamists, armed resistance, don't recognize Israel, and wants but accepts a Palestinian state on 1967 borders. So that's the difference. Let me see if there's anything else. I don't want to read all of them because I have so much.
Yeah, I would just say about whether Hania whether they allowed him to. It's either, there's two main, like there could be more than two options, but the two main things that come to mind that it could be is either they let it happen or their security
They let it happen. Yes.
and weak. And I think that's kind of that would be worse if they were so unprepared, knowing their enemy after whatever 50, 80 years. I'm not sure the exact number of years, but they've been at like their eternal enemy. Like they know how sinister they are, but they're not able to keep the infiltrators out. That's a bit concerning. So
yeah. And the second person that he mentioned, I'm trying to make this bigger for you, was Ibrahim Raisi. Okay. So he was a president in Iran. So let me go back, made it a little bigger. Hopefully this helps.
yeah, and I personally
You want me
think
to make it bigger? Let me know.
I find it far-fetched to claim that Ibrahim Raisi was not assassinated. It's just the timing of everything, and just the same kind of thing. For that to have been an accident, it suggests that there were far more it's kind of like the racist mentality that they're so incompetent that they couldn't do, like they can't possibly protect their leader like we can, you know.
Yeah, but sorry, I'm going back a sec because I just wanted to get this one. Antediluvian atheist said the Palestinian Authority and Fatah are compadres, controlled opposition. So
Compradors. Yeah, that's a good word to keep in
What
mind.
did I say? Oh, compradors. Sorry.
The big difference between a comprador and a compadre. It's like the opposite. For anyone who wants to do a little bit of Marxist education, the compradors are the class of bourgeois who sell out their own people to the foreign government for profit. So. Hey, John Kemper.
Thank you for that. Someone else is here. Oh, John Kemper. Hi. Okay, so now we're going to the other person that Iran allegedly allowed to be assassinated. So I just wanted to give some information about them. I used AI to pull from different articles. So his domestic policies and goals. He focused on economic stability and self-reliance. Razi campaigned on a platform of combating corruption, improving the economy, which was strained by international sanctions. He promoted a resistance economy aimed at reducing Iran's vulnerability to external pressure by boosting domestic production, exports, and self-sufficiency. Now, that is something the West would frown upon. This includes efforts to control inflation and create jobs, though progress on these fronts was limited by sanctions and mismanagement. Now, these next two, I that is their business. That is like personal, where they want to wear jobs, all that stuff. If that's for them to figure out, I don't care. Foreign policy goals and achievements. So pivot to the east. Rossi prioritized strengthening ties with China and Russia. Ooh, that's a no-no. A strategic shift away from attempts at rapprochement with the West. This includes increased military and economic cooperation, such as Iran's provision of drones to Russia for the war in Ukraine. Regional engagement. Rossi sought to improve relations with Iran's neighbors, including a significant move to normalize relations with Saudi Arabia, brokered by China. He also aimed to strengthen ties with Central Asian and African countries. So, nuclear program. While Rossi's government stated a willingness to rejoin the 2015 nuclear deal, negotiations remained stalled, and Iran continued to expand its nuclear program beyond the limits set by the agreement. But they weren't in an agreement, so he was well within his right to do so. Support for the axis of resistance. Rossi's foreign policy supported regional allies participating, particularly Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Assad regime in Syria, aimed at confronting Israel and countering U.S. influence in the Middle East. So, yeah, I could see why he had to go.
Right. So that's where Shahid Bolton was saying about how one of the things that they complied with the Israelis, they gave up like Hezbollah, and they gave away their proxies that they continue to deny are proxies. You know, they say that they're allies and stuff. So I think that they are. It's hard to say one way or the other. I think that they are more allies than proxies, and that's kind of just the way that we're applying it's like projection. The West doesn't actually have any allies; it only has proxies and vassals. So we don't really acknowledge that other countries are capable of having a different type of relationship. But this is where the guy who replaced Raisi, Pezeshkian, he's like the kind of like supporter of normalizing with the West and stuff. But seems to be controlled opposition. So if there is a kind of an element of the symbiotic relationship, I've said before, I think that Pezeshkian represents that a lot better than someone like Raisi. It's just important to remember that if the Ayatollah is supposed to have the power over Pezeshkian and stuff, then it seems difficult for me to believe that like Iran is being more controlled by like this comprador imperialist establishment friendly left in Iran there, because the army and the Ayatollah is really the one that has all the power. That's what Raisi was important, ensuring that the army, the IRGC, maintained like its budget, and that's part of the same problem with like Pakistan and the US, right? Where the part of the things causing their economic problems is not necessarily just the sanctions. It's also the fact that the majority of the country's GDP is going towards military expenditures. And if it weren't for America forcing them to do that, maybe they would be able to make different choices. But this is where it's still the same problem across the board, where the populace is not, like the working class is not getting properly, not getting their share of the pie, because it's the guns versus butter dilemma. World War III time. We can't just be, having no guns today. So.
I wanted to show. Oh, what happened? Okay, here we go. I wanted to show you this image. When was this? June 17th. Okay, this is so to the far left, that is the former Shah's son, and then his wife, and Netanyahu's wife, and Netanyahu. Okay. So I don't know if this is all redundant, but I want to let you guys know who the former Shah's son is. Um, oh, my stuff is all out of. Sorry. Okay. Bear with me. The son of Iran's last Shah says the Islamic regime is splintering. In an interview, Reza Pahlavi, his father's name was Mohammed Reza Pahlavi, says the United States and Europe should help the Iranian people and a newly unified opposition exploit cracks in Iran's leadership. So I find that interesting. If him and Netanyahu seem like buddies, so, or they could not be. They kind of did that with Jill Stein sitting at the same table with Russia, but I mean they clearly took a picture together. But it's all conjecture. We're just trying to figure some shit out. That's it.
You really want to be useful in politics, you have to learn not to jump to conclusions. That is a hard
exactly. Point out things, but that doesn't mean that it is what it looks like. It could be something else.
Yeah.
But don't ignore it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or in the words of Reagan, well, I wouldn't say trust but verify. Yeah. Trust but verify, I guess. Or pay attention and then verify. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, the son of the last Shah, Reza Pahlavi, has often been a solo actor determined to bring about the end of the Islamist forces that took over his native country more than 40 years ago. But recently, as a wave of protests inside Iran threatened the regime there, Pahlavi has united with other top Iranian opposition figures with the same goal. This was in 2023, by the way. That's important. Okay. The group is working on a charter for a future democratic Iran. On the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference, Pahlavi offered a glimpse of what it would include and called on the West to do more to help Iranians desperate for freedom. So anytime I hear someone saying that the West needs to bring freedom to a country, I already know what that means.
Well, this is
that's not conjecture to me. What was that noise?
This is the same completely irrational nonsense that we have in Canada and the UK, where they're trying to have a monarch talk about establishing a democratic Iran. A monarch is not a democracy. A monarchy is not a democracy. There is no such thing as a constitutional monarchy, parliamentary democracy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's a contradiction in terms. Complete diametrically opposed system of governance. It's just gaslighting people to try and pretend like you can have your cake and eat it too. Hey, old man Barker.
Yeah, the gaslight really pisses me off. Hi, old man Barker. Good to see you here. So another article about the Shah. Now this one is from This one is from June 24th, 2025. So let me flip this layout. So he wanted democracy, right? He wanted the West to be involved and bring freedom to the country, right? June 24th, 2025. The son of the last Shah wants to be the next leader of Iran. That ain't suspicious at all. Not at all. So I'm not going to read it. You know, you guys can, come to conclusions. There's a lot going on that I have to play or show. So to kind of talk about the symbiotic relationships and the possible political theater that's happening. So I'll leave that there and let you. I'll let you comment while I pull up the next thing.
I was kind of pretty convinced that we're entering into that phase of history where monarchy is become so obsolete that we are seeing the last monarchies die, And the events of the last like 20 years have kind of challenged my understanding of the trajectory of history there. They are doing everything they can to maintain the relevance and the existence of these monarchies. The main problem with the Middle East, I think, is the Gulf monarchies. They are what's behind preventing any kind of peaceful resolution. They prevent the people's will from actually being enforced in their own countries, and it's been going on since before like World War II, right? That's like the same families have been in power in these countries for all this time, and I wonder why there has been no change for the better there. We never talk about them though. This is what I get upset about British comrades too. Like they don't. Everyone gets focused. Like I'm saying, we get focused on the foreign policy. We forget about the domestic issues. What's the main thing we can do to help the Palestinians? Overthrow your monarchy, because that's what is making all these decisions to sell out you and your people and these people that we're watching being genocided. So I think that's the conversation with the primary contradiction, right? Maybe you don't have to solve a secondary or tertiary contradiction first in order to actually get to a possibility of resolving the primary contradiction.
So now I'm going to play this for you. So we've been talking about the political theater between Iran and Israel, right? So now we're going to pivot to between Iran and the United States. Of course, I have to refresh.
1000%, Marietta, Yonina. I'm going to get into that later if we don't go too long. But yeah.
I don't know if we have enough time to play your video today, Yonina. I'm not sure. Can you put it in Discord so I can like have it on the ready?
I'm not sure what video. She was just saying.
We do have a lot of stuff.
She was just saying our
yeah,
king.
I'm not sure what the video is yet either. So
she was just saying that King Charles is all mixed up in that issue with the Middle Eastern royals, and that's kind of what I want to get at. Like these monarchies would have collapsed if they weren't being supported by the British monarchy, which is being allowed to survive by the U.S. and Canada and stuff. Like there's a whole domino effect kind of thing at play here. So go ahead with the video.
okay, she's not part of Discord. Can you just post it again so I can grab it from my phone? That'd be helpful. Okay, so here we go.
To our B-2 bomber sneak attack by launching missiles towards U.S. military bases in Qatar. Not at us, but like at us. Immediately to Twitter, he said, oh yeah, we've seen the response, very weak. 14 missiles was shot total, 13 taken out the sky, 1, we just let it go free because it wasn't even going to do no damage like that. Now, no Americans were harmed, hardly any damage was done. So, I mean, so there was some damage. But most importantly, they got it all out of their system. So basically, Trump's saying like, yeah, okay, we get it. You responded, happy, now let's end this shit. This is his way of trying to exit out of this war. Bro said, congratulations, world. It's time for peace. We bombed their nuke sites. All that shit is over with. Now, they respond. Let's end it all. Now, that'd be amazing. But really comes down to, will BB the bomber let the war end? Because we know he's trying to keep it away. He's committing genocide currently right now against Gaza and Palestinians. Just, we need to stay in war with Iran because they are our greatest threat. They're going to bomb us. They're going to bomb the U.S. So he's trying to keep us in there no matter what. Iran supposedly coordinated with American air base in Qatar, and Qatari officials say, we're sending missiles because we have to. We not pussy. We got to do something in response. But, hey, I mean, don't take us that serious, though. Like, we don't want to continue war. We don't want to fight y'all. We trying to end this motherfucker. Time, though, Iran also withdrew from the IAEA, which means, we not following the rules no more. We was trying to follow the rules, get a nuclear weapon, and y'all came and bombed us. So now, we ain't listening to that shit. We going to do what we want to do. Why? Looking for vibes. China, Iran, Russia, and Pakistan got in the color like peroxide, had a meeting. They was, all right, this is how we about to do this shit. Who knows what their strategy is, but these four on the same page, same chapter, same book. Get together. Comes after Iran was like, y'all struck us, but didn't totally destroy anything. And Trump was like, no, yes, we did. Only fake news was saying we didn't destroy everything. We destroyed
drill. And now our B-2 stealth bombers are back in Kansas City, Missouri. Why he released that location, I still don't know. People talking about oil's not going to be affected. You don't know what well, your boy just said, everyone keep oil prices down. I'm watching you. I don't even understand that. I'm watching. You think oil companies are going to be like, well, Trump's watching. Let's not raise it. Man, I'm going to fuck. We live in a capitalist society. So up, they're going to make their money. Department of Energy, drill, baby, drill. And I mean now. Well, newsflash, Trump. Department of Energy, they don't drill. That's oil companies. So I don't know who is telling you this information, but you should probably just, logically ask a couple people like, hold on, did the Department of Energy drill? Or they don't? All right, let me change this up. But you didn't. You just out there tweeting false information. Ibrahim came out to cut like Neosporin. Was like, I don't understand how people talk about they can bomb another place and then call for peace. Guess what? We know that the only way you have any type of respect in this world is when you have a nuclear weapon. So guess what we're going to do? Build one. Now, if he gets assassinated in the next couple months, don't be surprised. Right-wing talking puppets have now caught wind that he is in the lead to be the mayor of NYC. And all of a sudden,
he's doing a lot. Okay. Yeah. That dude won the primary. I meant to mention that in the random news. That dude won the primary. He doesn't take any money from AIPAC, but we shall see. But anyway, this dude, I think he's funny.
He's just another AOC, right? Whoever's got their hopes up.
Yeah.
Try not to get too high, right? Come back down.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But the other things he was saying, okay, is what I wanted to talk about. All right, so here we go. Iran gave us enough notice. That's why there was 0 casualties.
Yeah, that
it was performance theater.
Yeah,
like what was the point?
You actually thought that was a disastrous thing for them to do, and same thing with threatening to close the strait and then not actually doing it. You just completely threw your credibility all the way out the window, right? So it's the whole boy who cries wolf.
Exactly.
U.S. can't be trusted because they're the boy who cries wolf every fucking day, but Iran just did the same thing now. So I'm too cynical. I'm having a hard time having faith because I'm not,
I'm having a hard time.
I'm not a religionist, right? So.
Yep. For the second time, I'm not reading these because we're kind of recapping things, but I'm trying to talk about these things and kind of bring it back to what Shahid Bozen was saying, if that makes sense. I'm trying to make a big picture of all the things together so we can kind of reflect on what he said and see if we think there's meat in what he's trying to tell us. So Trump says that they obliterated the nuclear facilities, okay? But intelligence is telling us that he didn't destroy shit. They just scratched the surface. Nothing really happened. Those bunker things didn't really do anything. So, what? Are they just? Is this just political theater? Are they just blowing smoke up our ass? Now, this one though, I thought was super interesting because it's from September 18th, 2015. So we got to go back to get current. Born in the USA, how America created Iran's nuclear program. So we do this every time we create the I don't know if you want me to read any bit of this, but
maybe a little bit.
Article, right? You want me to read some of it?
Well, just that's a kind of a hell of a claim to be making without even because I'd never heard anything about the origin of the nuclear program coming from the U.S.
Okay.
So
I'll read some of it for you then, because I mean, are you shocked?
Well, I'm just a little bit.
We created Al Qaeda. We created ISIS. Are you shocked?
But this is also
sure.
This is where they're trying to take the agency of other people away. If it's a propaganda claim, if we believe it, the trouble would be that it's not actually originated from the U.S., but because we're willing to believe that it's likely plausible, that we we don't do our due diligence and we just assume that it's true.
Oh, I see. You're going from the standpoint of like they wouldn't have been able to do it without the West.
That's the kind of racist stuff. Like they can never do anything without us. So anything they ever have comes from us, of course, right? Sometimes they're like China and Russia.
That is a possibility.
It's possible
That is
sometimes. It doesn't mean that everything they ever do has to be stolen from us. You froze out there. Are you still with us? Am I still with you guys?
A possibility. I'm looking at it from a standpoint of how the West continues to create unrest in that region by creating like arming rebels and things of that nature. So I'm looking at it from that standpoint. But okay, let's read a little bit and see what we're thinking. So this is the story of the United States, the atom, and Iran. It's a story of a historic nuclear agreement, a story we may be tempted to think we know. After all, Congress just finished a chaotic debate that ended when lawmakers failed to block the deal. There was no solemn national moment of decision, no up or down vote as with a treaty or a war. But this was just the latest twist in a long and complex tale that dates back more than a half a century. The Iranian nuclear program has deep roots. In fact, it is 4 years older than President Obama, says Ali Vaez, the International Crisis Group's senior analyst for Iran. Vaez grew up in Iran, which means the nuclear program is a personal story for him. It started in 1957, he says, and ironically, it is a creation of the United States. The U.S. provided Iran with its first research reactor, a nuclear reactor, a 5-megawatt nuclear reactor that is still functioning and still operational in Tehran. The U.S. built the nuclear reactor in 1967 on the campus of Tehran University. It also provided Iran with fuel for the reactor, weapons-grade enriched uranium. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It was part of President Eisenhower's Atoms for Peace program, an initiative to provide countries with peaceful civil nuclear technologies in the hope that they wouldn't pursue military nuclear programs. The beneficiaries included Israel, India, Pakistan, and Iran, then ruled by US-backed monarch Shah Reza Pahlavi. So that's interesting. Pakistan, Israel, and Israel were the two countries that did not sign the non-proliferation agreement. And I think Iran didn't sign it either in the beginning, but then Obama struck a deal with them. And that's why that's why Obama unfroze their money in South Korea. You remember that?
Oh, sorry, I was just a bit distracted by that.
Yeah. So I'm talking about this right here. The beneficiaries of this program that Eisenhower started included Israel, India, Pakistan, and Iran, then ruled by US-backed monarch Shah Reza Pahlavi.
Yeah,
okay.
I just heard you say South Korea, and I was like, kind of didn't catch why you were bringing up South Korea. So
because Israel, Pakistan, and I believe Iran did not agree to the non-proliferation agreement. I think India might have already had nukes. So everybody who had nukes got to keep them, right? Pakistan, Israel, Iran did not sign the non-proliferation agreement, which is why Israel and Pakistan have nukes to this day. Iran had a peace deal with the United States, and that's why Obama removed sanctions and unfroze their money in South Korea. And then when Trump came into office, they were like the peace, something happened with the peace deal, I forget. I think he wanted to like, he was trying to, I think he like rolled it back or something. Because you know how Trump is, how he doesn't, anything Obama touches, he's like, yeah, no, this is shit. I can make a better agreement. And it never happened, which is why Iran is producing more, like they're at like 60% now, because they're not under an agreement with the United States anymore. So they didn't have to like adhere to any of the rules or requirements, which is perfectly within their right. And there was no proof when Iran was under the agreement with Obama that they were violating any terms of the agreement. The IAEA, I believe I'm saying that acronym properly, was never filed a like complaint against them. They had cameras.
Yep.
So everything was going good, and Trump was like, "This is a shit agreement," and threw it out. Yeah. And so that's why we are where we are now. But anyway, I'm rambling.
It's
so let me finish.
With Trump with right now. All right, yeah, go ahead. Oh, you froze again. I was just gonna try and say, with what Trump's doing with his peace deals right now, it's important to recognize how peace is like not really the main objective. He's very opportunistic about it. It's not really like he's willing to tear up an agreement and tear up a peace deal, and then if whatever works for people, it's called transactional, right? So,
are you coming back there? You can say your statement and then I'll finish.
Okay, yeah. I was just trying to say there's this big diplomatic push to show Trump as being like the peacemaker, because he's signing a peace deal with the Congo, and he's signing a peace deal with India and Pakistan. He's claiming the credit for that, and then he's signing a peace deal in Qatar with the Iran and Israelis. So seems they're a part of their administration propaganda is that he's this big peace candidate, and he's actually fulfilling his promises. But he also will tear up the agreement so that he can sign the agreement. It's all about coercion with him. It's nothing to do with peace.
Yeah, I didn't hear everything you said because my thing started spinning. But I could hear that you were still talking because Tosh Schmidt is in the living room watching, so I can kind of hear. But yeah, you're right. I caught it at the end, and that is Trump. He breaks something, and then he fixes it and says, "Look what I just did." But you didn't really do shit. You just fixed the problem you broke.
And then he'll break it again, right? Because they had to do. And how's it going?
Okay, so should I read some? Oh, go ahead.
Then what's up, Bad Cookies? Thanks for joining.
Hi, Bad Cookies. And yes, that's what I was trying to say. I think I said that, Bad Cookies. It took me a minute to get it out because I was trying to recall what had happened. But yes, I believe I covered that. But I'm gonna put that up there. So so let me finish this. Under the program, many countries receive what Iran did. Their own small reactors, their own dollops of fuel. But says Vaez, as a result of the oil boom of the 1970s, that Iranian nuclear program morphed into a full-fledged civilian nuclear program. Iran had money to exploit the knowledge it was given and to develop scientific minds. The Shah's government paid for dozens of Iranian students to attend Massachusetts Institute of Technology and study nuclear engineering in the mid-70s, the university said. Fun fact, a Black woman just recently, this is the first Black woman to ever receive a PhD from MIT in nuclear engineering. So congrats to her. Anyway, back to this. So this is President Eisenhower on the left and the Shah, Reza Pahlavi in Tehran in 1959. the U.S. had begun working with Iran to launch its nuclear program 2 years earlier and would provide Iran with the first nuclear research reactor in the 1960s at Tehran University. So do you want me to keep going, or are you?
No, I don't think we need to. We already
Okay.
an hour and 38 minutes
Yeah,
in, but that's
so
interesting. I appreciate you sharing that because that appears to be true. And
right.
isn't that the way that history always is? It's got that ironic. Of course it was that way, right?
Yeah. So I just have a few more things, and then I'm gonna pass it to you. Okay. So France has been adamant about the fact that they're not supplying Israel with weapons. So this is more along the political theater lines that we're talking about. But somehow, how do I share this? Let's see. It was exposed that what France is doing is they're sending weapons to the Cyprus RAF military base. You know, Cyprus is, you know how close Cyprus is to Israel. And then the UK is a UK military base. So they're sending weapons to the UK, to Cyprus, and then Cyprus is dispersing those weapons to Israel. So France is, in fact, allegedly, still supplying weapons to Israel while trying to save face as if they're not.
It
So,
is the same thing with Canada, by the way, where I think we're sending the weapons to the U.S. so that the U.S. can send them, but it's the exact same tactic. They probably talked about it together and figured out how to do it.
yeah, same bullshit, right? I was trying to look for a date. Well, there's no date on here. Oh, is it up here? No. That's odd. That is very odd. And lastly, this one, the USS Nimitz. So it was deployed. Damn it. I don't know where my article is. So this, I don't know if many people know about this, but it was deployed, the oldest nuclear powered supercarrier. So it's been deployed to Tehran, and a lot of people are saying this is a false flag because this particular vessel, this is June 23rd, 2025. Oh, you can't see this. My bad.
Okay,
Why didn't you tell me?
I wasn't sure if you were, yeah, I just missed it.
Okay, this is June 23rd, 2025. Let me see if I can find the article real quick. I mean, I could just tell you guys, and you could believe me, I guess. I don't know, but this vessel was commissioned to be retired last year.
Well,
so
Sean
why
here,
are you saying so? I'm sorry.
Sean the Accord Lord saying the Nemesis is a piece of shit. It was to be condemned.
Okay,
12.
well, thank you, Sean. Thank you. I don't have to look it up then.
It seems like they intentionally want someone to think it.
Somebody knows. Okay, perfect.
It's only used.
So is that not also political theater?
Yeah, that's like
it's to get blown up.
That would be a false flag if it was stupid enough, I guess. But, yeah.
And speaking of more political theater, I'm just going to run through this really quickly, and then I'm going to pass it over to you. Okay, and I'm going to play a video while you're setting up when it's time to pass it over. And I think everybody will think it's funny because we need a break, don't we? We need a break from all of this. It's a lot. It is a lot. This is great. Oh, wait, no. I got to play this first. Because I want you guys to look at it and you tell me what you think about this video that is surfacing all over the internet. And I particularly don't appreciate it. And I'll tell you why once we play it.
Okay.
You know my clicker clacker. You know it's a struggle. I actually have while it's doing all that, I actually have a really, really good mouse. Oh, wait, can you see it? That I use for editing, but for some reason I can't connect it to my Mac. And I haven't like really tried that hard either. But yeah, I use it when I'm editing videos, which is probably why I don't edit videos, because I have this really fucked up mouse right now, and I can't do all the things I like to do.
I don't know.
But anyway,
Try and
that's
get the
neither here
basics
nor there.
and make it work. You don't need the crazy bells and whistles.
Uh-oh.
Now it's time for peace. Matthew 5:9 says, "Blessed are the peacemakers."
I can't
After
really see. I don't know if it's frozen for anybody else.
Most of you guys, if not all,
What?
It was frozen for me. I'm not sure if it is for anybody else. That is usually the way it goes, where my computer's running slow, so it'll glitch on my end, and then from what I'll say in the chat, sorry about the glitches, and then they say it's working fine.
So basically, these are supposed to be people in the military, okay? See the black woman in the front and like all these white people behind her, and she's like, blessed, like, we did it. It's slightly choppy. Okay, I'm gonna start it over. Instead of me trying to explain it, I'll start it over.
It's not us, it's Facebook and these platforms. They're junk. I mean, it is and it isn't us. Half the time it's them.
We hit their nukes. Mission complete. Now it's time for peace. Matthew 5:9 says, "Blessed are the peacemakers."
after watching that, I would hope that most of you guys, if not all, would realize that that was AI. And sadly, I don't think that many of the people that did watch that video realize that, because take a look at these comments. Okay, so there's plenty of people that have fallen for this, and they have other videos on their page, and this isn't the only page that focuses on content like this. AI is a very powerful tool. It's very helpful in many ways. When it's used like this, it doesn't just do a disservice to us as just people on the internet. As a whole, as a collective whole, it changes our perception of reality. And I know a lot of us take, media literacy for granted, but I think that that's a really important area that people need to brush up on or introduce to those, especially some of our parents that may not realize that stuff like this is fake.
And not just our parents, the children. And it gets worse. It gets worse. Let me make this bigger. You would not believe this shit. The Army has just made a new, a new ranking or a rank of lieutenant colonel to serve in detachment 201, whatever the fuck that is, as Executive Innovative Corps. And it's made up of executives from Meta, OpenAI, and Palantir. Can you believe this shit? I was flabbergasted.
This is where I'm saying one of our telltale signs of fascism is the public-private partnership, where the merger of corporate and state power. Somebody want to explain to me how that's not a merger of corporate and state power when they're taking the CEOs and putting them in intelligence surveillance that part of the government? That's as fascist as it gets.
I'm not part of the military, so I'm letting someone who is part of the military speak for me, because I can't say it as well as she's about to.
Right. Well, this is where it'd be nice to have Marcus from the Political Matrix or Kit from Hardlands Media, because they are ex-military, and so they can.
Oh yeah.
right? But
we should contact them and talk about this.
as far as Palantir, I was hearing it's really important to recognize the danger of Palantir right now. It's not over exaggerated at all, because they're doing like
AI.
simulations. They're doing like simulations of the nuclear threat in Iran instead of getting actual intelligence of a fact or not. And so that's possibly what would give them the impression that they have to go strike these nuclear facilities, because their AI is telling them that the threat is credible. So be careful with them, right?
You know what? This is a good point, Jacqueline. Doesn't matter whether it's AI or not. Aren't they feeding us bullshit either way? It matters because the AI is feeding us bullshit from people who are like us, boots on the ground like us, not from state media. So it's a different kind of propaganda, because you how do I explain it? It's just they're just like normal people. They're regular people like you and me. They aren't the millionaire, media and controlled mainstream media. They're just people like me saying the same, explaining the stuff to me. So I think it matters more, actually.
Well, I think that it takes the gaslighting to a whole new level, where
right.
I worry about AI's potential to cause like mass psychosis and schizophrenia, because it's literally making it more difficult to understand what is real and what is not real, and that is the main problem with schizophrenia. So we want a schizophrenic population. Are you crazy? I guess we're all crazy now, right? See what that looks like.
That's a good point. Okay, I'm gonna play it. That is a good point, and thank you for that, because you heard in Black Life we're doing a mental health seminar at the end of June in Lafayette, and so I think I'm going to add that to our presentation. So thank you, Michael.
Don't worry. I'm always worried about.
We are in deep shit. When I say that we are in deep shit, we are in deep shit. You see these four right here? These are CEOs, COOs from Palantir, Meta, and OpenAI, multi-billionaires who are being sworn into our U.S. Army reserves as lieutenant colonels. So Commander Bonespur and Pete Kegsbreath came up with a new detachment called Detachment 201, the Army's Executive Innovation Corps, or EIC. Last I checked, when anyone wants to join the military, they have to go through basic training, they have to go through MOS training, they also have to go through a background check to be able to obtain a security clearance, whether it's secret or top secret. But yet, we're giving these 4 billionaires who are in charge of monitoring our information, our data, through Meta, through Palantir, and OpenAI, we're giving them the key to our defense. They are being sworn in as lieutenant motherfucking colonels. Lieutenant colonels. Whereas for some of us who actually served, it takes us years and years and years, up to me 25 years just to get that rank, just to be able to obtain that rank. On June 13th, the Army announced the creation of Detachment 201, otherwise known as the Executive Innovation Corps, which it describes as a new initiative designed to fuse cutting-edge tech expertise with military innovation. 4 ultra-wealthy executives from top tech companies were sworn into the unit ahead of President Trump's heavily promoted military parade, which was itself sponsored by Palantir. The Army's top spokesman declared that the Detachment 201 was being created to bring in tech innovation executives.
Okay, I can read it. I'll read it for you. So you want me to go back a little bit? I'll go back to right here.
That's right. I appreciate the
subtitle. Is that? Yeah.
When it's glitching, you can still understand. You can still read.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna read the whole thing. Okay, they're being sworn into our U.S. Army Reserves as lieutenant colonels. So Commander Bone Spurs and Pete Kegsbreath came up with a new detachment called Detachment 201. It's the Army's Executive Innovation something EI. Look, I checked. Last time I checked, when anyone joins the military, they have to go through basic training. They have to go through OS training, a background check to be able to obtain a security clearance, whether it's secret or top secret. But yet they're giving 4 billionaires who are in charge of monitoring our information, our data, through Meta, through Palantir, and OpenAI. We're giving them the key to our defense. They are being sworn in as lieutenant motherfucking colonels. Lieutenant colonels. Whereas for some of us who actually served, it takes us years and years and years, 25 years just to get that rank, just to be able to obtain. So on June 13th, the Army created Detachment 201, otherwise known as the Executive Innovation Corps, which it describes as a new initiative designed to fuse cutting-edge tech expertise with military innovation. 4 ultra-wealthy executives from top tech companies were sworn into the unit ahead of President Trump's heavily promoted military parade, which was itself sponsored by Palantir. Its Army's top spokesman declared that the Detachment 201 was created to bring in innovative executive leadership to help the Army with the recruitment and the something of training the tech-focused people. But it's bad enough that we've got these 4 CEOs that are in charge of meddling and having access to our private information. Now they're going into the military. Now they're going to use the AI technology. This is a direct control of military innovation. This would include AI surveillance, cyber weapons, and autonomous drones. So now Trump and Pete Kegsbreath are trying to weaponize our military by the use of these super wealthy CEOs from OpenAI, Meta, and Palantir. And with that, the rank they are obtaining, they have control of their subordinate sergeants, first class, first sergeants, and command sergeants, majors. They have those ranks, and they have already served. And these motherfuckers, through training, this is what happens when a motherfucking clown and you get a circus. Or when you vote for a motherfucking clown, you get a circus. Okay. Sorry about that. I tried the best I could.
Got the message clearer than it was coming through, so thank you for reading that.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
But but
yeah, that was all I wanted to so is that not political theater as well? That's domestic political theater.
That's actually worse than
theater. I don't know.
That's like compromising your military that's supposed to defend the nation in a really egregious kind of way. So this is where, like, we've been hearing for the past few years, China is saying like Trump's like the biggest Chinese operative we've ever seen in America. Everything he does benefits China and ruins America more. And if they keep doing this kind of thing, like, that's such an idiotic thing to just to skip all the training that was necessary to actually like earn your spot as someone giving orders to the people beneath you. You're really just going to destroy the cohesiveness of the the people who need to be psychologically manipulated to be a soldier. Okay, you skip that process, you're going to destroy the way that the command structure functions. But as a person who's not a United States citizen, I have less of a problem with that than you guys would, I would imagine. You know what I'm saying? If you guys want to destroy the army, destroying the world, please don't let me stop you. Okay? But
So first Doge, right? Which never went after the Pentagon, but now the military is doing this. Like, this is not good. We are under siege, and I don't know how else to say it. But this is not good at all, and I don't even know where to go from here. But I just wanted to point that out. I know that has nothing to do with the topics that we have for discussion today, but I thought it was important enough to give a good mention. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to take a break. I'm going to play a fun video while Michael starts setting up his stuff. All right, Michael, you need a little minute to pull your stuff up.
well, I got my stuff pulled up. I just figure out maybe like what to start with, and but I'm not going to try and do as much of the presentation that I maybe would have done, considering we're 2 hours in already. So I'll try and figure out how to condense what I'm going to talk about. So, no worries though.
Okay, so this should give you a little time because it's a video. It's 5 minutes. It is a Palestinian rapper. His name is Amjad Al-Noor, and it's kind of funny too. So it's a good break from all the seriousness that's been going on. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me just say, this is, where'd it go? I want to play your banner, and I will. Okay. So this is, I've never really used Ko-fi, but it's like kind of like a GoFundMe. So if anyone wants to donate to Nahilo Nordstrom, this is the website link, and he would greatly appreciate it. As you all know, he is in between jobs right now, so any little bit helps, and I would thoroughly appreciate it. If $5, $2, whatever you got. And I know it's hard times for everybody, so whatever you got, we would thoroughly appreciate it. That being said,
I
I'll
just
go
hope
ahead
that
and start the video.
you can get up your GoFundMe thing, because you deserve some funding too there. So
I'm gonna do it on Black Life.
Okay.
I'll do it on Black Life, and then that way, you know, it'll be fine. But you need it more than me at the moment, and the one for Black Life is really it's not for us personally. It's for the initiatives where, like, the mutual aid stuff we're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to get to that point too, where I don't have to be like, any kind of donations we're asking for would be to kind of put towards a cause. Actually, I meant to have an update for you guys last week, but I'll just do it real quick. I did mention I wanted to try and set up a GoFundMe for a class action lawsuit that I was trying to set up for. Oh, where'd I go?
I don't know how this works. Like, when you do that, how it picks who gets shown. So
yeah, I don't know. I think you probably have to jump off stage and then. But I was just saying. I had tried to get this class action lawsuit thing going, and it ended up being like falling through. So I'm not going to set up that GoFundMe after all. Tried calling around for lawyers and stuff, and I can't even find any lawyers. So before we can get around talking about funds, if anyone wants to be able to help out with that situation, we need to find a lawyer willing to help us, which apparently doesn't exist in Windsor, Ontario. So I just don't really want to be asking people to be putting faith into funding something that's not even going to amount to anything. So there's other people with donation pages that need you to send them money, and are like their project's actually going to go somewhere. So like Hardlands Media's got his legal fund that he's asking for. That's a much more likely place to send your money that's actually going to accomplish something. So that's just all I wanted to say.
So, so can you elaborate? Old Man Barker says a lawyer for what? Because he's in Alberta.
For a class action lawsuit against landlords, and they seem to not really do that particular type of law anymore in this city, which makes no sense. Or they're just discriminating against me for being broke, or on disability for mental health and stuff. So this part of the problem, it's not just me. Like half the people in this building are disabled people, and like if you have mental disabilities, it's particularly difficult to kind of understand how you're being screwed. So like my neighbor's really been sadly manipulated, and there's nothing that we can do for him because his disability, he's kind of put his signature on a piece of paper, and as long as that's all that matters for people, then what's actually happening to us doesn't really register to anyone. So I think for now I just need to find somewhere else to live, kind of thing, because I've tried to do this several times, and it's like with each generation of newcomers, because if everyone moves into this building, we're being like left with awful conditions, and then people do the rational thing, path of least resistance, and they leave. They find somewhere else to go. Except people like me who can't go anywhere unless I go live on the streets or something. But so when a group of people leave and a new group of people come in, I try and convince the new people, let's do a class action lawsuit. But it's like 3 groups of people have moved in and out by now, and I can't get it off the ground. So I think it's just best to, observe some practice and change my approach to things, because what I'm doing is not working. So
Bad Cookie says, oof. Well,
yeah, where sometimes you need advice, because I don't understand what, like my mom's been saying, like, what I'm doing wrong is I'm being too much of an asshole about stuff. I'm just kind of trying to threaten them to get the way I want and stuff. And the way I see it, I'm trying to actually stick up for myself. And all the other advice that you get is don't rock the boat. Be careful about, being too angry at your oppressor. Don't give away your socialism, because then you'll be judged for having politics, which you're not allowed to have. So it's like, Exactly. And that's where I'm frustrated with the tenants too. It's not just
oops, sorry.
the landlords that are the problem. Like, remember, most people just want to float. They're not out for a swim. That's 100%, right? Because we probably could have successfully gotten this going if more people had some goddamn conviction. But the only conviction they have is to run away. So anyway, I didn't mean to get on that tangent, right? So. Abby seems to have frozen.
Well, I'm just saying, in the meantime, in between time, I'm back. So in the meantime, in between time, like, there's still, what's happening? What is happening with the, there we go. There's still a need for you for like your basic necessities. So, so this is up here. I'm gonna go ahead and play the video and let you prep for the next segment.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, no need to stand up. The ICC in the house. Hey, you mother What's up? The sentence? No brainer. Guilty. My mind is made up. In my verdict, he'll go straight to jail. Baby, you're done. And the case number. Oh, wait, I don't even remember. I lost count of all the innocents you daily murder. I sentence you to life in prison. That's only for starter. It's the fastest sentence. He's not making my job harder.
That's a little bit embarrassing, but since your hammer's gone missing, I'd like to spend a few seconds second guessing this whole ICC masquerade with all this global ass kissing. I won't even debate whether the gentleman was innocent.
Who the hell are you?
Your Honor, who am I? That is irrelevant. I know, ladies and gentlemen, I can see the entanglement.
You think you can disarm and save him from this predicament?
Let's not fall victim to our emotions and our sentiments.
Oh, say, can you see the cross of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy. Oh, say, can you see the cross of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy.
First of all, in my belief, this ICC is blasphemy. I'm not a member of that cult, and neither is my enemy. I'm only acting like I care. I'd like to thank the Academy. And when you sue them, you technically make yourself my enemy.
I see you may not be a member of the ICC. You call yourself the Lord of the Free. And empty democracy. And yet to save his ass, you invented poverty. To storm my court and invade it? That's it. Hypocrisy.
Whoa, someone's anti-Semitism's on the go. Should I delete you as a friend and add you as a foe? From the diva to the sea, are you one of those? While you at it, don't you deny the Holocaust?
Pardon me, and please be offended by the sign, but Palestine is mandatory on this list of mine.
What's that? Is there a country by the name of Palestine? Don't see it on the snap of mine, out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, say, can you see the cross of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy. Oh, say, can you see who's the boss of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy.
This chord is for the Puritans, Afros, and the Arabs, by the way. They're not like us, they make a plus, they gonna have to pay. But we're the USA, what will stay goes today. Don't waste your time on Benjamin, my friend is here today. He's got the most moral army in the world, self-hitting, killing civilians, still be safe in the north, we're just kidding.
Someone should bag the Nobel Prize for Peace and send it to Nathan.
He's got the army that would burn the children right before he came.
Speaking of kids, why use left round? Can't you shoot some back? On the scale of humans, why put those kids at the lowest rank?
Spare me the drama over the kids you killed in the West Bank. I would go throw rocks at a freaking tank. I got no time for this. I got some elections to rig. Gotta teach my snipers to miss. I got some graves to dig. Those weapons won't sell themselves. Gun deals are getting so big. So here's some taxpayers' money. Go buy yourself a new wig. Who's the boss of the ICC? Must be the Yankees. Supremacy must be the Yankees. Okay, everybody now.
Say, can you see who's the boss of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy. Oh, say, can you see who's the boss of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy. Oh, say, can you see who's the boss of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy. Oh, say, can you see who's the boss of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy. Oh, say, can you see who's the boss of the ICC? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy. Oh, say, can you see? Must be the Yankee supremacy. Must be the Yankee supremacy.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't want to.
No worries.
I did not want to. I did not want to take away from people's credits. So I'm just going to go back a little bit and then I'll turn it down. There we go. Oh, wait, you can't see it yet.
Let me just.
Oh, you took it off.
Here.
I just didn't want to take away from their credits.
I thought it was done. Sorry. Yeah.
So, what'd you think about that?
That sounded pretty funny. I was a little bit preoccupied trying to organize my stuff.
Yeah,
But,
I figured that.
you know, but it looked pretty.
I figured
And we were
that.
just talking about that last couple episodes about the corruption of the ICC and stuff. So
Yeah, we were. So I thought you would get a kick out of this. And yes, in the chat, that was Bassam Youssef as the judge. Amjad Anwar is the lawyer. He's also the rapper. He has a few songs out there, so I don't know how I found him, but I found him to be quite interesting, and I wanted to play it. And this is fair use, by the way. Fair use, fair use, fair use. I should have said that in the beginning. But so you're ready now, right?
yeah,
Okay.
as ready as I will be tonight. Whatever. I got a little bit. I didn't have the most functional day today because I had my blood drawn yesterday, and I went foolishly drinking last night. I was a little discombobulated today, so apologies for being a little disorganized. But try and add this to stage here. I don't know why it's. Oh, we gotta bring the. Okay, sorry. You gotta take something off the screen before you try and add something to the screen. So
Hey, my bad.
So I wanted to kind of talk about Qatar today. I know it says Turkey has entered the chat, so I think we kind of dropped the ball a little bit in that we haven't exactly talked about Turkey yet in our stream tonight. I'm going to try and kind of, oh, you did to some degree, okay, good. Because I hate putting the wrong thing in the title, but I did want to, like, by talking about Qatar, Turkey will kind of come up in the conversation. Because what I've been seeing with these peace deals and everything, and the bombing of the Al Udeid air base in Qatar, it kind of just made me want to cement my understanding of their role in the Middle East. And it's kind of important to recognize how they might be a small country, but they seem to have an outsized influence in the course of events as they unfold. Like, I don't think that this ceasefire should have happened, but whatever influence that these smaller diplomatic players have, they seem to be able to move the course of a river, basically, right? So let's get to this article here. I wasn't really trying to read too much of each, so I'm just going to kind of do a couple paragraphs and then try and move on and wrap up here. So, this is from the 24th of June, 2025. The Qatar, the oasis of safety in the Middle East. Political observers and analysts are turning their attention to the state of Qatar, expecting it to play an active and influential role not only in halting the military escalation between Iran and Israel, but also in stopping the war entirely and returning the parties to the negotiating table and constructive dialogue. Good luck with that. I highly doubt that's ever going to happen. So many analyses and explicit calls have identified Qatar as a key player, especially considering its success in resolving many dangerous political crises in the past. Former U.S. President Donald Trump once stated that Iran is very lucky to have His Highness Amir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, can you get a longer name, consistently opposed launching military strikes against Iran. This successful diplomatic record makes Qatar an oasis of peace in the region before this war, during it, and likely after. Qatar possesses sufficient diplomatic capability to continue its efforts, as demonstrated during the Iranian nuclear conflict between Israel and Hamas, and previously in the Afghan crisis, where it successfully brokered an end to war and bloodshed that had persisted in Afghanistan for years. This soft political power serves as a safety valve for the entire region. Not a very effective functioning one, if you ask me, but it is unlikely that conditions will deteriorate further given Qatar's political abilities, diplomatic expertise, and positive positions in addressing many sensitive global issues. So that's just what I wanted to read from that article. Just found it a little bit ironic that it's Trump saying that Iran's very lucky to have Qatar, when that's like Qatar stabs everyone in the back. So that's like saying that the U.S. and Israel is lucky to have Qatar. So and not just Afghanistan, but this is where we kind of got to understand what role are the Gulf monarchies and the monarchies in general. They're trying to play this role of the statesman, right? Like you can't really rely on the dirty people to actually create peace. You need some kind of sophisticated, blue blood. So they're also instrumental in this peace deal that's coming to the Congo. So I don't know how to get rid of this stupid banner thing on the bottom. I guess they're trying to make me pay for it. So let me try and read this article. I apologize for the only $2 a week thing, but this is one thing that seems to be a part of the deal, that Trump gets to take the credit, but ultimately I think it's Qatar and other regional players that are really the ones getting these peace deals signed. And they don't necessarily need their egos stroked in the same way as Trump needs his stroked. Not to say that they don't need their egos observed above everything else, but Trump's egotism is kind of in a class of its own. So it remains to be seen whether Trump's ceasefire between Iran and Israel will hold, but on the other side of the world, he has showcased his deal-making prowess in a very different conflict. In a few days, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo are set to sign a peace agreement. That's actually tomorrow, so pay attention to the news about that tomorrow, see what if it actually comes to pass. I think at this point, if it weren't going to be signed, they would already have made public statements letting everyone know that the deal is off. I don't think that this is a good peace agreement, though. Under the U.S. auspices to halt the bloodshed in eastern Congo, so they're set to sign a peace agreement there. The deal was classic Trump, blunt, transactional, and built on leverage. He applied pressure, offered incentives, and out of it came a deal. His approach delivered results where traditional diplomacy failed. So this is the argument that the fascists make, where they're saying, you really want peace? You need a fascist to make it happen. We need a peacemaker. We don't need these weak-minded, woke diplomats, right? So they're turning on the head the concept of peace itself, and they're expecting people to be stupid enough to not understand that what they're doing isn't really diplomacy. For years, Eastern Congo has been one of the most violent regions on Earth. Earlier this year, the city of Goma in Congo fell to M23 rebels backed by Rwanda. When Trump came into office, the conflict appeared on the verge of spiraling into a wider regional war unless serious pressure was applied on Paul Kagame. During the Second Congo War, over 5 million died. Over the past year, Rwanda's fingerprints have been all over renewed violence, modus economic. This is where we're kind of talking about, I'm going to kind of skip over this stuff a little bit because it's not really the topic we're trying to talk about today, although we will probably be revisiting this topic very soon. The UN dithered, European governments fretted helplessly. That's kind of all they ever know how to do. Trump offered something far more effective than diplomatic condemnation. He focused on leverage, offered investment. So Trump sent a family confidant, Massad Boulos, who I think if you look up is like Zionist family. I think they're related to Israelis, but I think he might be Lebanese or something. But I digress. It's just interesting to see who's being picked for this kind of work. So Boulos began working directly with President Tshisekedi on a minerals for assistance arrangement. So notice they're not really talking about Qatar, but the peace talks were being held in Qatar. So the Rwandans and the Congolese sent their delegations to Qatar with all that's going on between Israel and Iran kind of in the background, developing. So just kind of interesting. So the agreement set to be formally signed this coming week commits Rwanda to withdraw troops and end M23 support, while Congo addresses Kigali's concerns about Hutu militias, promises the return of refugees, regional security coordination, and billions in investment for Congolese mines. Rwanda will keep a role in processing minerals. This was diplomacy Trump style. Congo gets the prospect of stability in foreign capital. Rwanda gets the way out of a proxy war without having to admit defeat. So the weird thing about this is that you're signing an agreement with Rwanda when Rwanda and Congo is not actually technically at war. So how are you going to expect a peace agreement to actually work when they weren't even at war to begin with? It's like you signed an agreement with the wrong party. A summit in Qatar in March between Presidents Tshisekedi and Kagame laid groundwork for the deal, but Trump's team is said to have driven it forward with sanctions on Rwandan officials and promises Qatari-backed funds. So Trump's team drove it forward with another government's money. I'm pretty sure that other government's money drove forward. Like, you can't make that offer without their money. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. I don't want to focus on this one too long. I wanted to just kind of demonstrate that it seems like Qatar is behind all of these recent developments that we're trying to wrap our heads around, trying to understand. Like, are they really enemies, or are they just, pretending? Are they?
Or is it
really
political theory?
And then Qatar comes along and offers them some kind of, I know how to manipulate you into accepting a deal with your enemy that you're going to tear up in a year, and then I'll negotiate another deal with you in a year. So yeah, I don't want to maybe read too much of the articles because we're already late on time, but then there's also how Qatar became the power broker of Afghanistan. Oops, sorry. This one's from the Jerusalem Post, so we might want to read just a little bit to see what the Israelis have to say.
Qatar's a Western ally, right?
Yeah. Well,
right.
This is where it helps to understand the history.
Somebody didn't know that.
As far back as you need to go, right? So, but if we only go back to like early 1900, Qatar was like a British protectorate, whatever. It was controlled by the British, just like Saudi Arabia and Egypt. And so they still have a very strong relationship with the British. So I'm tending to think of Qatar at this time as like a British proxy, but that's probably an oversimplification. But when England needs some manipulation, some dirty work done in the Middle East, pretty sure that they go into these Gulf Council monarchs and they kind of scratch each other's backs, right? Like, they go to each other's weddings and this kind of stuff. So, but it's one of those, like, these small players only have a leg up on the international scene if they play the big players against each other. So it's all about, like, with Pakistan and India got this balancing act we were talking about last time. Qatar has to play this balancing act as well in order to kind of have any success in the world. But by being forced into that role, you have to continuously make friends of your enemies and enemies of your friends. So eventually, like, there was a whole crisis in 2017 with Saudi Arabia that you might have missed and not even know anything about if you weren't like Arabic or Muslim or someone.
What year?
In 2017.
Okay.
I'll have another article.
I think I missed that one.
Yeah.
I need a refresher.
I'll try and get to it, and then you'll hear about it right tonight. But then hopefully I can make my presentation make sense here. So this is just real quick, this old article. Qatar has been playing a key role in the return of the Taliban to Afghanistan. It's also been playing a key role in flights to Kabul. Is won widespread praise for both seemingly contradictory policies. So it's weird how they manage to play the public, where they can support like the ultra conservatives and do the ultra progressive thing at the same time, and people don't notice or get outraged about that. So, however, this is the Qatar methodology, presenting itself as both a power broker that can work with extremist groups while backing those groups, while also appearing to back stability and work with the countries dealing with the chaos left behind by these groups. As such, Qatar positions itself as a country that everyone needs in order to work in Afghanistan or Iran or, you know, place country name here. So it both flies in journalists. It both flies in journalists to cover the chaos at Kabul and provides protection for Americans in Kabul. Protection against the very group, the Taliban, which Qatar hosts. So that kind of hopefully gives you the impression of how Qatar's diplomacy actually kind of works. Although this is coming from the Jerusalem Post, so handful of salt. So, but then again, right, you see what comes from the Times of Israel. Look what, like I'm saying, that everybody needs Qatar, but everybody hates Qatar. So what do you think Israel's looking for? Israel's next real enemy after Iran. I'm not sure how serious this is or representative this is of the Israeli state, because this is I think it's an opinion piece, an op-ed.
Yeah, they're not on the list. But hey, the list could expand.
Yeah, that's where I think on some level they do have Qatar in mind on the imperial agenda, where they may need them in the role that they serve right now, but I'm sure it would be in the U.S.'s interest to not have to rely on Qatar to play that role, and Saudi Arabia too. I'm sure they would rather, you know, swallow up their country and not have to deal with this pesky little fly on their back. So, but Saudi Arabia, just like Qatar, gets a lot of its power and influence from Great Britain. So as much as it wants to get rid of its master's other dog, it's got a leash on it too, preventing it from taking a bite. So let's just read a little bit of this. This was from June 19, 2025. With Hamas almost completely dismantled in Gaza, Hezbollah defeated in Lebanon, Assad's regime in Syria replaced, and Iran's skies under complete Israeli control. Yeah, okay. The strategic map of the Middle East is being rewritten. The military wars are being won. Soon comes the next phase, the war of influence. Israel's most dangerous adversary today is not armed with missiles or militias. It wears a suit, hosts international summits, funds elite universities, and owns one of the most powerful media machines in the world. That adversary is Qatar. Qatar has emerged as the biggest soft power enemy of Israel, financing terrorism, spreading propaganda, and shaping global opinion against the Jewish state. This isn't a battle Israel needs to fight with missiles. This is a soft power war, and it's time Israel starts treating it that way. Yeah, we all know that Israel has extensive amount of soft power. I think actually Israel has more soft power than it does hard power, even though they would feel quite insulted by that. All they have is their bad Hezbollah, right? They just like the U.S., they're more of a paper tiger than anything. But yeah,
not a paper tiger. Israel's a paper lion.
yeah, well said. So, but that's where it's funny that in this article he's talking about media dominance. We got to beat Al Jazeera at its own game. Pretty sure that nobody's got the kind of media dominance reach that the Zionists have, right? I mean, maybe that's just me and my bias from what we've been learning about the past year and a half here, but I don't think anyone's got as much control over the mainstream media as the Zionist lobby does. So could be wrong. Anyway, that's kind of enough of that. Moving on, try and keep this in under 3 hours here today. So.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I went on too long.
No, it's okay. I hope everyone is happy to settle in for a bit of a longer one today. I just want to kind of get this stuff out there, and then next week we can move on, and we don't have to always be trying to cover what we meant to last time. So this article I saw today, and I just kind of found it a bit funny. They're trying to, we know how they're trying to. We were talking about the. Oh, do I lose my audio again? I've lost connection.
No, I can hear you.
Okay, different problem. So we learned that they're with like the Palestinian Action protest movement, that they're trying to criminalize them and name them like a terrorist organization. So I find it interesting that I see this article. Muslim Brotherhood in Qatar establish broad network across Canada report finds. So they're kind of trying to insinuate that the Muslim Brotherhood, which has been kind of in decline, nobody really talks about them anymore, but it seems like they're going to try and revive them as a boogeyman when they need them to. So they're going to try and make this connection. Yeah, they're talking about the sleeper cells, right? So this is like, you got to take out Qatar, because if it's not Iranian sleeper cells, it's because they're Qatari sleeper cells, whatever. So we got to get them, right? You got no evidence for this, whatever, but trust us, guys. So let's get to this. This is from June 26, 2025. Decades-old affiliations with Brotherhood groups bolstered by Qatari funding draw security and community scrutiny. A comprehensive report released this week documents how the Muslim Brotherhood and the state of Qatar have built a multi-layered network of affiliated organizations across Canada over several decades. A study compiled by the Institute for Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy identifies at least a dozen national and provincial bodies linked to Brotherhood ideology. Those include these 12 on the list. I'm just going to skip past them for now. Audit records obtained by Global News show Canada Revenue Agency probes into major charities, including the Muslim Association of Canada, over alleged ties to Hamas financiers. In one case, CRA auditors alleged that directors facilitated transfers to overseas Brotherhood-linked networks. Qatar's role extends beyond direct grants. Counter-Extremism Project Analysis notes that the Qatari government and its semi-official charity, Qatar Charity, channel funds to Brotherhood causes worldwide and provide platforms through Al Jazeera to promote Islamist narratives. A parliamentary committee report in the United Kingdom described Qatar Charity as quasi-governmental and central to the Brotherhood's global financial network. So keep in mind that the UK is like the biggest backer of Qatar, right? Like they work kind of like Israel and US have this nice special relationship. I feel like the UK and Qatar are kind of like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but and I just want to kind of point out with the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency buying on the charities and stuff, when we recognize that it's not so much terrorist activity as it is national liberation movement, what we have is we're seeing this convoy being stopped in Egypt on its way to try and deliver aid to Gaza, and then the organizations that are trying to finance or send the donations across the seas or whatever, like they're trying to clamp down on any effort to actually be able to offer material assistance to people being genocided, and then they call it terrorist activity so that they can get away with it. So Qatar's role extends beyond direct grants. Counter-Extremism Project Analysis notes that the Qatari government and its semi-official charity, Qatar Charity channel, I already read that one. Yeah. Experts warn that the Canadian network's reach spans community centers, university chaplaincies, and advocacy coalitions. These groups have cultivated legitimate partnerships in academia and politics. Legitimate partnerships, really. These groups that haven't, I think they have not formally been designated, or let's see. Yes, Canada's security agencies have monitored Islamist extremism, but have not formally designated the Brotherhood as a terrorist entity. So they're not formally terrorists in Canada, and they cultivate legitimate partnerships, but there's something wrong with that. Is there something racist about this that's coming from CSIS? I'd say so. So, but of course, you know, they're just being the stupid stooges, good old lapdog of the Israelis. So, although I have heard a lot of commentary about we should be careful about this wag the dog narrative about how, let's not get it twisted. It's not the Israelis running the Americans. It is the other way around. And I tend to agree with that. But Canada maybe is a bit of a different story. Canada is not doesn't have the autonomy that the U.S. does. Canada is a vassal state of the U.S. So we might be a little bit more having a hard time to say no to the Israelis because the Americans will come and tell us, turn our no into a yes for us. So let me just read this little this expanded text, and then I'll move on to another. We must ensure no foreign regime can quietly shape Canadian institutions. How about we just leave it at that? We must ensure no foreign regime can quietly shape Canadian institutions. No, what do you got to actually make that statement about? To threaten Jewish safety or democratic values. So, yeah,
Wow.
that's enough of that. So that article is all about, oh, the Muslim brotherhoods everywhere. Be afraid. And then you see, at least officially speaking, not to take their word for it or whatever, but this is from 2022, also to remember. It says, no active members of the Muslim Brotherhood on Qatari soil. Qatar's Emir Tamim. So Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani stated on Wednesday that there are no active members of the Muslim Brotherhood or related organizations on Qatari soil. So I'm not really going to read this article. I just wanted to show you.
Well, there's a question for you, Michael.
Just to kind of get these statements.
There's a question for you on the floor. So Rondo is
Rondo.
asking, doesn't the UK shape Canadian institutions? If Canada is a sovereign country, wouldn't that be an issue?
Right. This is where the UK definitely has been shaping Canadian institutions, where I don't accept Canadian the claim that we gained our independence after World War I. If we gained our independence, we would not have the king as our head of state, right? So very much in a huge way, the UK still interferes with our independence and our political decisions, economic decisions. But we're not really, our Canadian public doesn't know that or doesn't care, because no one ever talks about like the British monarchy. It's considered irrelevant, symbolic, right? But this is where I'm saying, then it doesn't need to be there, right? So but I'll try and talk a little bit more about the UK in a little bit. I just got to kind of get a couple of points out of this research paper here. I think this will kind of bring together some of what I've been trying to say, hopefully. So make this bigger. So we were talking about there was a dispute in 2017 between Qatar and Saudi Arabia. So if we don't know, if you didn't hear about what that is, I'm going to kind of sum it up for you a little bit here. Or hopefully this article is a good source. I didn't exactly have enough time to rigorously double check what the validity of the sources, the integrity of the sources, but we can kind of judge it in real time. So the disagreement between Qatar and a group of Arab countries led by Saudi Arabia, which built up after the 2011 Arab uprising, has not been resolved and may even be becoming more entrenched. This article was, or this briefing paper came out on 15th of October 2019. The dispute has manifested itself in proxy conflicts across the Middle East, North Africa, and the Horn of Africa. Qatar was more positive about political Islam and the Muslim Brotherhood after 2011 than Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, which saw it as a threat. Egypt elected a Muslim Brotherhood president who was later deposed in a military coup, leaving Egypt firmly on the Saudi side. In case we were wondering as to why President El-Sisi seems to be, constantly betraying the Palestinians, well, probably because Egypt is still on the Saudi side. Although this is a whole lot of research we need to do to actually understand this kind of stuff. So I
mean, that would make sense as to why they weren't letting them in. They weren't letting them into Egypt.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta, because it's hard based on a lot of the things that like Egypt or like Lebanon and stuff and Jordan, like they do a lot for the Palestinians. They never seem to actually help them be liberated, right? So we just have to know a lot of the background to understand why these allies are often not as allied as they appear to be or should be. because there's a lot of background bullshit to understand. So, and really, it's got to do with that sectarianism, you know. Like, I think that political Islam is a problem. That's mixing whatever. It's a separation of church and state. I agree with that perspective, and political Islam is the opposite of that. It's the merger of church and state. So, but that's a whole nother conversation. So, the dispute flared up in 2014, but did not really ignite until 2017 when the Saudi group imposed a trade blockade and severed travel and diplomatic links with Qatar, citing a list of demands, including that Qatar should close the state-funded broadcaster Al Jazeera, which is still open today. So, but it's kind of interesting how Saudi and Iran were at each other's necks for the longest time, and then Saudi and Qatar had this dispute, and now Saudi and Iran are allegedly have made up, and now Iran and Qatar are having some dispute. So, gotta keep observe the changes and recognize the authentic change, right? The crisis is related to the power struggle between Sunni Arab countries led by Saudi Arabia and Iran. Saudi and its allies are suspicious of Qatari ties with Iran. The blockade has made those ties stronger. Qatar is immensely wealthy and has proved resilient. Individual wealth has cushioned Qatari citizens, while the state has cultivated new international contacts using its gas wealth. The crisis has strengthened Qatari links to Turkey, whose ruling AK party has strong links to the Muslim Brotherhood. Turkey has troops in Qatar, as well as strong economic. Go ahead.
Can I just interject right there? Because part of our title is Türkiye has entered the chat, and so Qatari and Türkiye's are strengthening their links with each other. What Türkiye is warning that they will strike Israel if Israel doesn't back off of Iran, and no one believes them. Okay, they're trading partners with Israel currently to this day. So what benefit do they have for striking Israel? Like, people are just like, oh, they're always all bite and no bark. So I just found it interesting to kind of pull that into the whole political theater discussion. And with you mentioning that, that kind of furthers my thought on that. So I just thought that was very interesting.
That was a good comment for sure. This is the political theater is on a next level with the Middle Eastern Gulf states.
I just love how we really don't we used to talk and try to like say, oh, let's do this and that, and we stopped doing that, and now it's more organic, and we're just like high level. Let's talk about this, and you go grab your info, I'll grab mine, and we blind react to each other. And I kind of like it. It's because it's so interesting how we pull information together in the end anyway, even though we're both doing our own thing. So anyway.
No, it's good to learn, and I guess it's good to put your learning out there in public so other people can learn from it while you learn, and we can all learn together. So there we go. Big enough. Yeah. So as well as strong economic ties outside the region, Qatar hosts the U.S. Central Command Forward Operating Base and some 10,000 U.S. troops, but the Qatar base also hosts the UK RAF Expeditionary Air Capacity in the Middle East. So of course, though, they had to make sure that these people were warned. They didn't want to create any problems with the UK or anything, right? So, or the US. The dispute has proved more intractable than many expected. Let's keep in mind that this article is from 2019. Differing domestic insecurity concerns drive these policy differences. Saudi leadership is worried about domestic political dissent, while the tiny and immensely rich Qatari population looks less likely to present problems to the Qatari monarchy. It is also partly driven by a new generation of decision makers in the Gulf monarchies pursuing much more assertive policies than those of their predecessors. It is kind of an important detail to remember that a whole bunch of the old monarch just died over the last few decades, and so now we have a whole bunch of young, dumb, and full of cum, whatever, crown princes, whatever, running amok. So, most noticeable of these policies is Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's war in Yemen. The same assertiveness may be an obstacle to resolving the Qatar crisis. Yeah, you can't actually have resolution and peace to any of these problems when these young kings and queens there need to reassert their dominance and ensure their legacy, the continuity of their regime. So the personal nature of foreign policy making makes it difficult to know how the situation will develop. The individuals involved could equally change their minds and resolve the dispute quickly, which is exactly why you can't have ruling class aristocrats making decisions, forging negative peaces that will never last, that actually are just as dangerous and causing suffering as the wars do. It's like economic warfare against the working class, really, is what they have achieved with these peace deals. So I would also maybe just quickly, I want to hop over to, while I'm on this part about the tiny and immensely rich Qatari population looked less likely to present problems. That little tidbit made me feel the need to look into the historical context of migrant workers in Qatar, because it's a pretty funny irony when we want to talk about how the U.S. complains about all these illegal immigrants coming in to take their gerbs, right? You got all my, and Canada too, we got these migrant workers, they're all taking our jobs, and there's no work left for the white person or whatever, but whatever percentage of immigrants that you have is nothing here in the West at all compared to in Qatar, because they have, let me try and find it, like 86% of their population is migrant. Right here. Let me just try and, whoops, what happened? What'd I do? Okay. So by the 1980s, Qatar formally adopted the kafala sponsorship system to regulate foreign labor. The system tied workers to their employers, granting them significant control over workers' residency, job mobility, and legal status. While this structure facilitated labor migration, it also led to widespread human rights concerns, including worker exploitation, restrictions on movement, and limited legal recourse. By the late 1990s, Qatar had one of the highest migrant to citizen ratios in the world. It is the highest migrant to citizen ratio in the world, with migrant laborers composing over 85% of the total workforce. They're actually 85% of the total population. So that's more than 3/4 of every person in Qatar is a migrant slave laborer being treated like shit. And that's the kind of, that's the person you want to negotiate your trade deals, right? Like, that's your peace. That's your oasis of peace in the Middle East, right? Peace for who? So, but getting a little bit back to the other one. Saudi-Qatari rivalry has spilled into various conflicts in the Middle East and North Africa. In Sudan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, Qatar, and Iran have all backed factions both before and since the fall of Omar al-Bashir. In Somalia, Qatar and the UAE are engaged in a tussle for control, particularly of ports that would give access to growing African markets. The main divide in Libya is between supporters and opponents of the Libyan National Army of General Haftar. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Egypt are now close to Haftar, while Qatar and Turkey call for the enforcement of the UN arms embargo against him. Qatar and Saudi Arabia finance different Syrian rebel factions, although there was some collaboration on the common goal of promoting Sunni rebels against the Syrian government. The shifting and complex Yemeni conflict is also a theater for Saudi-Qatari rivalry. Qatar is close to Islah, a powerful party with some features of Islamism that had several ministers in the Saudi-backed Hadi government. Having been expelled from the Saudi-led coalition in 2017, Qatar may have strengthened its contacts with the Houthis, the Iran-supported group in control of much of Yemen. Gulf Cooperation Council used to be one of the only effective regional organizations in the Arab world. Since the Gulf crisis has led to 3 GCC members boycotting Qatar, the GCC is now effectively suspended. Qatar left the Saudi-led oil producers organization OPEC at the beginning of 2019. I'm not sure if they still are, if they're still not a part of OPEC, but that's for another time. The UK government calls for the sides to the dispute to engage with Kuwait's mediation efforts. The UK has sold arms to the Qataris, including Typhoon fast jets and Hawk trainer aircraft. Qatar's sovereign wealth fund is a major investor in the UK, with more than £35 worth of investment. And Qatar is also the UK's biggest supplier of liquefied natural gas, which makes a significant portion of the UK's imported gas. So I could keep going on with that. It's a 15-page.
I mean, we're seeing the alliances within the region and beyond, just from the little we've kind of uncovered tonight. So
Yeah.
I find it quite interesting because
Yeah, well,
I don't think we came to any resolution on whether or how much political theater we think it is or not. But I think it was important to just like kind of expose it. So the further along we get in these conflicts and stuff, we're not thinking linearly,
yeah.
and we're expanding the fact that it could be beyond what we see, right?
Right.
So
Well,
I think that's what I was trying to accomplish, and I think we did that.
Yeah, well, I think with the U.S. imperialism, it tends to be we get blinders on. That's like that's the primary contradiction. We need to put an end to that. And but it's like whenever you only have a hammer, all you see are nails. So so now we're trying to deal with the U.S. imperialism, and then it makes it hard to actually believe such a tiny country as like Qatar or the UAE would have such an outsized, like they also have a fairly significant role to play in these genocides in Sudan, right, and in Libya, and in Syria, and Yemen, and in Palestine, like, and in Afghanistan, right? They're everywhere. So
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get back to some domestic stuff and turn our attention to Africa for a little bit, because there's a lot going on over there too that needs attention, but there's it's so much. But yeah, I hope we did what we set out to do. I hope you guys feel that we did. And next time I want to get your opinion on this chat thingy right there.
yeah, this
There.
thing we got going on.
It's this one there. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
think it's
you
cool.
guys think about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like they should have made it taller and then moved the layout where you're showing articles and stuff, condensed it so it doesn't interfere with the article. But whatever, it's in beta, so I'm sure they'll get feedback and but we want you guys feedback, because we could turn it off if you don't like it.
Right.
But yeah. Any other
Yeah.
articles you want to share? Okay.
Well, I could just I'll just like share this the headline on this, because what I was trying to get at with that last one, there was that crisis in Qatar in 2017, 2019, whatever. And the question is, now that it's 2025, has that crisis been resolved? I mean, this article is only from 6th of January 2021, but just to sum up or whatever briefly, it says essentially that no, the crisis is not resolved. They may have signed some kind of agreement, a treaty or something, but all the underlying problems still exist. So don't be surprised if Saudi Arabia and Qatar go have another spat, if it's opportunistic or whatever to do so. Because Qatar plays its cards correctly, then even though Saudi Arabia wants to kind of pick up the beef again, it might not have the luxury of doing so if it has something greater to gain by cooperating with them. So, but yeah, we got to do a lot more research on this kind of before we get talking about it too much, because we need to understand the topic before you kind of spout off on it too much. And I feel like I
Right.
only scratched the surface with this one. So.
Well, we can only do as much as we could do in 3 hours. Wesley says
Yeah,
he
and maybe,
likes the chat replay.
Oh yeah, this is the other thing too. He likes having that chat thing in there.
Yeah. So we got a one out of. We should make a poll next time, just to make sure everybody's
So as
in
far as the cooperation,
agreement.
Yeah, I just wanted to share this last headline. As far as the cooperation between Qatar and the UK, they're trying to finalize a new trade deal by the end of this year, and I would imagine that everything that's going on with Iran and Israel has a big influence on what type of trade deal that they are going to be able to make viable. So not sure if there's any dollar amounts that it mentions. Or yeah, the UK believes the GCC FTA would increase bilateral trade by 16% and could add an extra 8.6 billion pounds a year to the existing 57.4 billion pounds worth of annual trade between Qatar and the UK. So that sounds like a pretty substantial deal that they are working on behind the scenes with all of this peace talks going around. So I think that's it for me today. I appreciate everyone hanging in to the end. Hopefully we
I know that we still have half our viewers. A lot. Some of them mentioned that they were going. Savvy Savs was going live, so we always appreciate when there's like other people who are more well known than us and all that jazz, and people still stick around, and it means a lot. But you don't have to, our feelings won't be hurt if you don't. I'm just saying that we appreciate it when you do. So don't feel obligated if there's something they're talking about and you wanna go on over there, and it's all love.
Always
I guess that's what I was trying to say.
Always love seeing you guys in the live chat. But if you don't have time, if you'd rather watch it on the rewind or the replay, we appreciate that too. And to anyone listening, if they made it to the end and they are watching on the replay, thank you for watching. So
yes,
have a good night.
Exactly. And have a good night. So I'm gonna play this really short song from the same person that did the ICC rep. I forget his name off the top. It's like I want to give him his props. His name is, gosh, it's not on here. Oh, here it is. Amjad Al-Noor. I knew I didn't want to butcher it. So Amjad Al-Noor. So we'll play that on the way out, and we'll see you next time. Maybe just check your notifications. I don't know. We don't get people don't get notifications from us, is what I'm trying to say. The algorithm doesn't do that. So
all the notification systems.
So just check your lives, because we might start going live a little more than we used to. We might be having another revolution dance party soon. We'll see. So don't count us out, y'all. We'll be around.
Right, but that's something that actually that you remind me of something I should be announced here just briefly. We were talking. It looks like we're going to be. I'm gonna start up like a kind of like a solo channel thing. In addition to our Noteworthy and Black Life, when I got extra stuff to talk about, so that I don't try and cram everything into one show, I'm gonna try and just do like a little news show on my own. We'll see how that goes. So I have to pick a day and everything.
So that's at the bottom. So his channel is at Nahilo Nordstrom. So go subscribe. I should have said, oh, that's X. My bad.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be this one.
Yeah, I'll probably
That
just
one.
post on my Milo Nostrum YouTube channel. So just look out for that. Hopefully, we give you more content that you guys can appreciate. So, okay,
Yeah.
we've been going on now for too long. So
Bye, everybody. I'll probably see you over there at Savvy Sabs. I'm probably headed over there too. But
yeah,
watch this. It's only a minute and 30 seconds, and I think it's pretty funny.
okay.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Have you met my sugar daddy? Say shalom. I mean howdy. He's got Ordo in his pocket, then you got rice in your patty. He treats me like a brand new caddy. He's invented nuclear bombing. He says he polices the world when really he is the baddie. His taxpayers are going broke. He took from them and gave me. I'd committed genocide because his veto can save me. The homelessness crisis in his trembling country is getting real. While we be chilling and settling in cribs in Israel. Imagine having a healthcare system that you don't pay for. While the state that funds you has patients fighting a losing war. Thanks to their generosity, I got free education. They're college students on a map, can't name one foreign nation. Thank you for spending millions of dollars on me. I'm in billions. I promise you I won't buy guns with that cash and kill civilians unless those bastards are children I claim are human shields. Then I smoke them with they mamas, then they white flags on the field. I appreciate you for the fake news you spread for me, pa. Got me a tattoo on my chest that says long live pa. You're my guy at the UN and the ICJ and the media. My sugar daddy, my only fan when I need you. I'm sorry, daddy. Or should I call you Uncle Sam? I never meant to make you broke when you fund my genocide and ethnic cleansing.
Bye.